and he was terribly excited, and he was saying, do you know they're shooting Jews. They had to dig their own graves, and they're throwing them into the pits. Nobody believed him, and we were really sure that he is mad. And they did not even want to listen to him. They chased him away. And then another Jew escaped the same way, and he came to the ghetto to tell, and he extricated himself from the dead. They took him for dead, actually, and he crawled out. He was still breathing. They did not know that there were still people that were not fully dead, and he crawled out, probably into the forest or wherever behind the trees, and he came to the ghetto, and he said the same thing. And then we realized that he wasn't a madman, that it was something like this. And then, of course, we knew that thousands of them went that way. They were killed that way and murdered.
Oh, it's the introduction to the Panar Memorial. This is the introduction, yes? The monument actually is over there, and the pits are over there as well. Here there are two plaques which are old plaques from the Soviet time, and here it's written in Lithuanian and in Russian that here in the Panar forest, since July 41 till July 44, Hitlerists killed more than 100,000 Soviet people. It was written for the Soviet time. And hiding the crimes, they started since December 1943 to burn the corpses. We'll talk about it later. It's actually in Panar, all the nations, all the different ethnical identities, they have their own tombstone. So over here is the monument to the Polish people, over there, monument to the Jewish people.
Could I read the Hebrew?
Yes, the black stone is installed over here only since independence, and Yiddish and Hebrew text says that among those who were killed here, 70,000 were Jews. And they were killed by the Germans and the local collaborators. It's written in Hebrew and in Yiddish. The Ortiki by with Helfer or the Hamem Komein. Yeah? It's a local collaborator. Yeah.
Doim von Narbald von Juli 1941 bis Juli 1944 haben die hitlerische Okkupanten und ihre ortige Mithelfer umgebracht 100.000 Menschen und sie 70.000 Juden, Männer, Frauen und Kinder.
From the railway line, yeah?
I mean, I could have made it easier for them if they stopped.
You put stuff on?
No, mostly stuff I didn't.
Oh, you're putting a van in there.
If I need,
If you need you?
yeah, mine's in my suitcase in the hotel, so I'm a lot of use there. Oh, well, if I need, I'll shout.
That's beautiful. Oh, look at this, eh?
No, you don't know her, but anyway. Who is she?
But you couldn't have me to accent.
Vilnius. Oh, no, about that.
Okay. So this is a memorial which is built recently. It looks very unnice because it used to be the menorah over here, but it was stolen. It was stolen, the menorah, but the next one, which was built here, it was from plastic and it's burnt after some memorial, so it looks not nice, but it will be replaced someday. So this monument is new with the Hebrew and Yiddish inscriptions, and it was built after the independence. And after the war, the Jews who lived over here, about 16,000 Jews, they collected money and they built over here in Panar a very modest monument with the inscription in Yiddish. Through the Stalin times of the fight against the cosmopolitans, even this small monument was destroyed, and all the remains were reburied over there on this hill. And this monument with the only inscription to the victims of the fascist terror was built. And it was standing over there for 40 years approximately, for 40 years. And only after the independence, this monument, which is donation from the Shaya Epstein, former Vilna citizen, and other Vilna dwellers, was built over here, and it has the inscriptions in Hebrew and Yiddish, and it says that 70,000 Jews were killed by Nazis and their local collaborators. It has an inscription in English and Lithuanian and Russian on the other side. Yes.
And he lives in Israel. He
Yes.
still is alive.
Shaya Epstein. Do you remember? Yeah.
Regina, can I do a bit of talking?
Sure.
Okay. I want to put things together a little bit. I know people are a little bit confused now. I want to start with the ghetto. I want to put it all together, sorry. Okay, we visited only the small ghetto. In Vilna there was a big ghetto. I know that few are confused. We're throwing small, big, and you don't understand what is actually going on. Let's start from the beginning. Vilna was Polish. You understand that. It was under Poland, so it wasn't part of Lithuania. But of course the Jews of Vilna, even though they, like Hania, were with Polish passports and belonged to Poland, were regarded by the other Jews of Lithuania as Lithuanians, because Vilna was always the capital of Lithuania before that. When the Russians conquered the eastern side of Poland, Vilna fell into their hands. And then they decided to give it back to Lithuania. And that's the reason Vilna was not like Warsaw. We saw Warsaw immediately had a ghetto, because the Germans came in there. Vilna fell into Soviet hands and was given to Lithuania. So for a year, still, Vilna was independent with the rest of Lithuania. But in June 1940, so in September, October, it was given to the Lithuanians. A year later, in June 1940, it was conquered by the Russians, all right? So you understand the order.
Or the Germans.
Russians, 1940, all right? So now, suddenly the Lithuanian Jews, the Polish Jews, the Jews in Vilna, finding themselves in a year and a half moving from Polish hands into Lithuanian hands, and from Lithuanian hands into Russian hands, all right? You understand the movement. Immediately they're losing everything, because Russians, of course, communism, Bolshevism, not allowing the Jews to just express themselves and being Jewish. A part of that, when the Germans conquered the west of Poland, a lot of Jews, probably around 15 to 20,000, escaped from the Germans. And where did they go? They went to Vilna. Amongst them, many yeshivas. For example, we saw the yeshiva of Chochmei Lublin, in Lublin. Many of that yeshiva came here. Many of other yeshivas came here to Vilna. All right, so meanwhile we have quite a lot of people. We have about 60,000 Jews of Vilna, plus all the refugees, another 15 to 20,000, a big Jewish community. But on the 22nd of June 1941, so that is a year later, Operation Barbarossa starts, and the Nazis are invading the Soviet Union. And that is including Lithuania, because now Lithuania is in Russian hands. Okay, so they moved from being Polish to being Lithuanians, and from being Lithuanians to being Russians, and then to become under Nazi control. We will talk more about the ghetto in the ghetto. So I'm just mentioning that killing and kidnapping started immediately. Then a small ghetto with 11,000 Jews was established, very small, only for a month, and all its citizens were murdered. all the Jews were murdered in Ponar, where we are now. Others were also murdered here, even before that. From 25th of June, when the Nazi army came in, until September, there were kidnappings of about also thousands of Jews that were brought here to Ponar. All right,
So this basically was the killing grounds of Vilna.
of Vilna.
This is where they did all the extermination.
Exactly right.
Instead of having a concentration camp or
They
whatever.
had Ponar.
This is Ponar.
Okay. Now then, there was a bigger ghetto that was established, not then, but at that time, a bigger ghetto, we'll talk about it in more detail, and a lot of the other Jews were in the big ghetto that we will see. A bigger ghetto where you had the Judenrat that existed until 1943, and there were Jews there that worked, and Henia was in the big ghetto. All right. So she wasn't in the small ghetto we saw, she was in the big ghetto. Okay, now Ponar, to get to Ponar now in the whole scenario of things. Ponar, as you said, Ellen, was the killing ground of Vilna. Not only Vilna, shtetls from around Vilna, even people from Germany sometimes were brought here, from Austria they were brought here. So when you see 70,000 Jews, it's the Jews of Vilna plus others. How were they brought here? We saw in Poland trains. There were not trains here. Most of the people were taken from Vilna by foot. They were walking. It took us 40 minutes to drive from Vilna on bus, and we were sweating and I don't know what else. Can you imagine walking from Vilna, where the prison was, where Henia showed us the prison, in the outskirts of Vilna, to here? Not knowing, and not knowing, because they, of course, the Germans were saying that we, in the beginning, for example, just to give you one lie, okay, who are the very intelligent people? We need people to do the book. We need poor people to organize the administration. It will be a good job. It will be a safe job. Who is willing to come? Of course, a lot of the intelligentsia came, volunteered even to go in many times. Other times, others were kidnapped, taken by force, in the streets, in the houses, and so on. And they went there. Then they were marched kilometers. Outside, I think it's, what is it, 7 or 13 kilometers? Where is Regina?
It's about 10 kilometers.
10 kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the road which we
Of
came.
course not. It's not the highway, but
Yes, it's the other road.
yeah.
We came around, but it's still 10
kilometers.
And it's to the hill, up to the hill.
But let's put something in perspective over here. The local village people were already notifying the people in town that there was killing going on over here. Killings went on here till 1944 for 3
Yeah.
years.
Not from Vilna, from other places they brought
So,
here people.
so,
there was no
so
one there to
basically,
check
there was,
Yeah.
you know, they could have told them that they were going to work for a year
Yeah.
or 6 months or something like that.
In the
After-
beginning,
afterwards,
what I
but
told
maybe
you
it's-
that about the work, it's only in the beginning, to fool you.
Oh.
Later on, there is a ghetto, you cannot escape anyway.
There
They
was
will
a fact.
catch you, they will get you, and that is very quickly. You're talking in 2 months, there was a ghetto. Henia will hopefully tell us later. They didn't give them preparation for the ghetto. One day and you had to be in the ghetto. You didn't have a month or 2 or 3 to prepare.
which indicates that probably when the ghettos, when they founded the ghettos, they stopped the mass killings in Ponari maybe because
No, they didn't. They didn't. They needed the ghetto primarily for a concentration place to start taking the people out, and then also for work. So some people will work, all those that don't work, taken to
how do you
Ponar,
explain that people like my mother were not sent
but you
anywhere
work.
else other than to concentration camps?
Yeah. Others were also sent to concentration camp. But that is about the ghetto and the
Liquidation
different-
of
In
the
Yeah.
the end,
Yeah.
we are talking about the beginning.
I'm talking
They were
about
sent
1941.
here to
The
the
history is a little later.
camps in 1943, mostly. 1943. And
why
we
don't
are-
you just
yeah.
continue with your
Okay,
story?
all
and
right.
put it
So,
in-
so basically, okay, let's just continue. So they're marching from Vilna to here. The pits are ready. They don't have to dig pits. This is not like the other shtetls that you'll go to, Mariampol and other shtetls where they had to dig their own pits. No, these were ready because they were the Soviet army. Let me explain something Regina explained, and I'll explain again. It's only in Ponar. In other places they had to dig, you're right. In other places they had to dig. In Ponar, the Russians prepared huge areas for petrol. What was it for?
Yeah.
For petrol.
For the
Fuel dump.
Fuel
For
tanks.
the train.
That's it. But they didn't manage to put the tanks yet in. So they were round, huge pits ready for the petrol. But of course they didn't manage to put the petrol in because the Nazis came in, got the people. And it was perfect location. Look around. The forest. It's thick as I don't know what. You don't see the villagers. You don't see anything. There were witnesses saying we saw people marching. There were witnesses saying we heard
them
the shot.
shooting.
But you didn't see anything. Apart of some Germans that saw. And they gave us our witness of what they saw. Germans, not the shooters, but other Germans. Drivers and others. That actually wrote down the text that they saw what they saw. But the pits were ready and they had an order. The order was to take the people. The people didn't know what was going on. They wouldn't take, let's say if they will march 1,000 people here, they will not take all the 1,000 here. I mean, they will take them here, but they will not take them to the pits. They will leave them somewhere else. We'll take 100. And we'll march them. There was a place, I'll show you pictures I have in the car. I'll show you the pictures, how it looked. And they marched, and not only they marched like that, seeing what was going on, they ordered the men to put the shirts over their heads, and they would go like that, and they would not see anything. If I had a shirt, I would show you, but basically it's something like that. You put the shirt, you don't see anything. Marching one after the other. Many times there are witnesses that said they bumped into each other. They couldn't even see where they're going. And when they gone already to the pit, the bottom of the pit, it was too late. They were in already. And then they were shot. And then the next bunch will be brought in.
On
And
top,
the gang on top of them, and on top of them, and so on and so forth. And in that manner, they filled up the pit. And in the beginning, they didn't burn us. It's very much like whoever was with me in Treblinka. The same story. In the beginning, just burying them. Then, in 1943, realizing, wait a minute, the Russians are coming. I mean, the tide was turning. The Russians are coming. They will discover the bodies. We need to, the evidence has to disappear. What do they take? They take people from Vilna, Jews from Vilna, and taking them here to a horrible job. They cut the bodies and burn them. That's the reason we don't have bodies here. They burned all the bodies. That was their task, and then they were shot. Few of them managed to tell the story, and we know the story, that there was a case or two, and they told the story.
Tally, was any coordination between what was going on with Poland and what was happening?
Okay, it's a good question. All right, we talked about the camps and so on. And that is something very important, actually, that I didn't tell you yet. Okay, so let's recap how the war is going. The Nazis went in first to Poland. They established ghettos in Poland. We saw Warsaw, we saw Krakow, we saw Lublin. The Jews are in the ghetto. They're dying in the ghetto from hunger, but there is no final solution. I told you not yet. That they're just living in very difficult conditions in the ghetto. Now we're getting here, to Lithuania, to the Soviet Union. 22nd of June 1941 is before the camps. There are no camps. You remember we talked about it, that the first camp was in Chelmno, and that was in the end of in the end of the year, in December 41. So there are no camps here. All the camps we saw are from 42. So what is happening? When the Nazis are coming in, they're deciding to start the mass killing of the Jews, a decision that was taken in the highest places. Hitler, Goering, Himmler, highest places, we don't know the exact date, but definitely before June 41, to start killing the Jews. And that was the first step towards the final solution. We're not going to put them in ghettos. We'll put them in ghettos just to concentrate them, just to use a bit of their work. But the plan is to kill. So, I want you to imagine the German army, the Wehrmacht, conquering. They're going in with the tanks, with whatever, and behind them, the same day, there are special units that are called Einsatzgruppen. Those special units are units A, B, C, and D, and each one of them is divided into commandos. The leaders of those Einsatzgruppen were the most intelligent people. 3 of them doctors with PhD. The other one also, I think a lawyer, if I remember right. And those units, special units, their sole task The only thing they had to do is to go after the army. When the army conquered a place, to go in and to implement the final solution, to implement the mass murder. They will collect men, first it was men, sometimes women and children immediately after, and will kill them in the place. And that is the way they did it. Where do the helpers going in? In Lithuania, where we are, the Lithuanians did the job for the Germans in many of the cases. Because to every one German that was in the Einsatzgruppen here, according to some researchers, there were from 10 to up to 50 Lithuanians helping. To every one German, from 10 to 50 Lithuanians helping in the murder. So in many cases, Lithuanians actually did the auxiliaries, those special partisans they called themselves, were not partisans, were killers, were murdering the Jews even ahead of the Germans in many cases. Here, not here, they were helping to do the job. They claim that they're hating the Jews because the Jews helped the Soviets, the Jews are communists, and they're fighting for the liberation of Lithuania from Jews. And that's the reason they have to kill those Jews. Those bloody Jews have to, go away. And those Einsatzgruppen were everywhere. We're going to read a few of the reports of those Einsatzgruppen. One of the very famous one, we'll see it again in Kovna. One of the leaders of those Einsatzkommandos was a man by the name of Karl Jager. German, very proud of the job he's doing and announcing how many exactly Jews he killed from Kovna to Vilna to Mariupol to Vykomir and so on and so forth. Getting to the number of 137,000 something. I have the exact report, you can have a look at it. Very proudly, even stating how many kids, how many places, including dates, including to the last detail. So that's more or less what was happening here, and
Not names, because names was
no names.
No, without names, only
No
numbers.
names.
Numbers.
Yeah.
statistics.
Yeah. They shot to kill. In some cases, and that's what I'm going to read to you now, in some cases, look, they shot, of course, to kill. There were certain systems to the Einsatzgruppen. Some would shoot when you're standing, some will force others to lie down, some will undress, some will not undress. Many methods, there's not one method that I can tell you about. So it could have been in 1 month like that, in the other month like that. But what was happening was that many times, not many times, I'm wrong, a few times they will shoot and just injure. The person will fall down, will pretend to be dead, or maybe will faint and will lose consciousness for a while. And later on, usually at night, will get out, and those are the two that you said that came back and told stories, and there were others, and there were others that even survived the war because they joined the partisans in the forest and so on. I want to read to you a survivor account of one of those. This is a report of a teacher who returned to consciousness and found herself in a mass grave. Suddenly I heard soft weeping near me in the grave. I listened for a moment and recognized the weeping of a child. I crawled toward the voice and was stunned when, as I crawled, I found the corpse of my husband from whom I had parted only the night before. The child did not cease crying, and I summoned up the remnants of my strength and reached it. I discerned a little girl of 3, alive and whole, and decided to save myself and the child. As I rested with her, holding her in my arms on the pile of corpses, I knew that if I survived, it would be she who had saved me. And she did survive, and the child survived. And that was here, where we're standing in witness account. I told you about those Jews that had to come back and burn the bodies, and to exhume them, to take them out and burn them. 2 of them survived. 2 of them escaped and survived and immigrated to Israel. Their names are Motke Zeidel and Yitzhak Dugin. They live in Israel and they gave this testimony. In early January 1944, we began digging up the bodies. When the last mass grave was opened, I recognized my whole family, Mom and my sisters, 3 sisters with their kids. They were all in there. They've been in the earth 4 months, and it was winter. They were very well preserved, so I recognized their faces, their clothes too. The last graves were the newest, and we started with the oldest, those of the first ghetto, the smallest. In the first grave, there were 22,000 bodies. When we first opened the graves, we couldn't help it. We all burst out sobbing. But the Germans almost beat us to death. We had to work at a killing pace for 2 days, beaten all the time, and with no tools. The Germans even forbade us to use the word corpse or victim. Anyone who uttered the word corpse or victim was beaten. The Germans made us refer to the bodies as Figuren, that is, as puppets, as dolls, or as Schmattes, which means rags. The head of the Vilna Gestapo told us there are 90,000 people lying there, and absolutely no trace must be left of them. They survived and they told the story, so we know. The last thing that I want to do before we do the ceremony, and if anyone else has questions, you can ask, but there is a song that was written in Vilna about Ponar during the war, because they knew about Ponar. They knew about Ponar in 41, they knew about Ponar in 42. And they sang the song, it's in Hebrew, and it says, "Quiet, my son, don't cry. Because if the Germans will hear you crying, they will catch us. And then they will take us to Ponar and will kill us there." And that, I think, shows the desperation of the people in the ghetto, some of them hiding, some hiding outside, knowing that if they will be caught, they will be here. song says, one day maybe you'll get freedom. When they grow, the freedom bird will come.
On the film that Hitlerist occupants burned corpses which were dug out. Yes? So there was a special technique that they were using. There was such a round wooden structure, and they would be killing, and this wooden structure would be fulfilled with corpses. So they were putting a small layer of the earth on the top and the lime also, and they would be filling it. But it was originally much deeper. So it was the first experience. Lithuanian Jewry was first in life. Yes.
Just a few things just to explain. Regina said that it was too difficult it was too expensive for the Germans, the shooting. It was very expensive, but it was another thing. Psychologically, it was very difficult for those murderers. It was very difficult to shoot day in and day out, and they encountered a terrible problem, and they had to give vodka, plenty of vodka to the shooters to continue to handle the shooting, and even then, they had psychological problems.
First of all, they tried to put Germans into the killing, but it didn't work because some of them got insane, and it didn't work actually. So they brought Lithuanians. This was much easier. When we are going to the shtetls, we are going to talk to the people. Many people say that it's by the hands of Lithuanians. All was done, and actually most of the people to whom I'm talking, they would not give a credit to those killers. There is such a term which is actually referred to usually with the despise. Zhidshudit, the killer of the Jews. There is such a term. And most of the proper people in the villages, elderly ladies, they are telling that those are our Lithuanians who shot them, our Lithuanians. And sometimes they said that they should be shot, because Jews were very kind to us almost all the time. That when it was some trouble, we were going, for example, if somebody from the poor family would die, we will lend money from the Jew and we will pay our priest to make the funeral. And there are many witnesses like that, which I can hear. By talking with the people.
Was there nothing done after the war in any way?
And until today, nothing is
Taken
done.
over by the Soviets.
You mean the war criminals, whether they were sentenced? Yes, of course. Of course. Not many, but few. And now there is a process of sending them out from the United States. I just read one editorial that Svinciani Jews killer just was they are coming back in order to escape this extradition procedure. They're coming back. They're telling those criminals, they're telling that they would like to die at their homeland. Yes, but what is the problem now? And it's what actually all the world outside is just so outraged about this, that they are not. They should change the law, because the law is that the criminal should be the witness, so it's not accused, it's a witness, should be brought, that the court can't work in absentia. And most of those people, of course they are old, those criminals, Lileikis, etc., they are giving the doctors certificate that they are sick. Of course they are not very well, but I think that Lithuania, in order to get at least her face up, they should change the law, because none actually of them who were sent out from America, none stand for the sentence. None was accused. Now it's the report that probably one will be accused because he's not sick, but it's not done yet. So. And on the other hand, it was also the such a process after the independence. It was a process of the giving the forgiveness to those who were accused from the Soviet time for the anti-Sovietic activities. Now they became the heroes. They became so-called wood partisans who were fighting from the forest till even 1953. Among them, not all of them, but among them, there were some percentage of those who escaped to the woods because their hands were bloody. I should say that most of them, they retreated with Germans, and they would live in Australia and Canada and in United States. But some of those who stayed over here would be fighting from the forest with those forest partisans. So it was, after the independence, it was this process of, what do you call it, when the sentences forgive.
Pardon.
Amnesty. So among those amnesty cases, there were some cases when it was given to those who participated in mass killings. And Wieselthal Center then discovered, they were working with the prosecutors from us, and they discovered 4 cases like that. But actually it's probably much more, but there is no witness. And those who are witnesses, who are living over here, they just are frightened. Because those who were killers, they suddenly became the heroes, and they're getting big pensions and this compensation, and so on and so on. And people are afraid. I know the lady who is, her name is Riva Bogomolnaya. She wrote 2 books about mass murders in Butrimonis, in the south of Lithuania. And she's very old. She was actually one of the very few Jews who, after the war, came to witness into the course. And she was looking after them. And she was staying in the village where all her family was killed. And she lived for 3 years in the forest. She was going around. Her address is in Yad Vashem. So she stayed in the same village, and she was working in the shop. Can you imagine the only Jewish woman with her house staying in this village where all her relatives were killed by the same people who were coming to buy the goods from her? She was collecting from each one who would like to tell the story. She was collecting those eyewitnesses written, and she would write them and she would ask them to sign. And afterwards she would go to the court. But she was very, very unique among the Jews as well, because the Jews who stayed over here, they just wanted to forget everything. And she was very determined, very determined. And this lady, she says now that I'm afraid now, though she is not afraid of anything, believe me. Can you imagine that they burned her house in this Butrimonis?
So I'm surprised that she's
Yeah, she is alive. But they burned her house, and the government gave her flat in Vilnius. She's alive. So the first were not only they were told that they are going to walk over here, but it was a very loud siren which was working over here. So it was such a noisy, such a terrible noise that even they would not hear the shooting, and they would let through the channel. And he lost his conscience when he saw the light of the machine gun. So he lost the conscience. He was even not wounded. So he just wake up when it was already the darkness, and he crawled through those bloody corpses which were over here. And he found some farmer who gave him the clothes and cleaned, and he went back to the ghetto. So it was like that over here. Then they started the job in 43. It was actually after Stalingrad battle when they lost. After the battle near the Arch of Kursk, so-called, it was a very big, heavy battle where they lost. So they started to hesitate whether the victory will be there. And so December 43, they brought over here the people from the ghetto. I should tell you that the ghetto of Vilna, the big ghetto was liquidated on September 43. September 43 it was liquidated. So 2 months later, December, they brought over here people who were hiding in the Malinas, in the hiding places in the ghettos. They were coming out because there was no food, there was no water over there in the ghettos. They were coming out and they were collecting them. From there, and half of the group over here was the prisoners of the war. And the prisoners were also Jewish who were brought over here. So there was a group about of 80 people, and they had such a dugout over here near this pit. The dugout, it was such a place inside the earth, and they were living over there. And they had a bench, such a bed from the wood, and they had 4 women who were preparing food for them. They were fed quite well. They were guarded very well. They were guarded by the special units who were from Austria, special guards, which were paid very well wages and which were awarded it's a very heavy responsibilities to keep the secret. And of course, though they were almost all the time told by the German authorities that it will be a lot of job. If you will finish this, it will be a lot of job for you in the other places. They understood that they are doomed. Of course they understood. So they started to dig the tunnel towards the railway station, and they dig it with the spoons, with the fingers, with nails, with whatever it was in their possession, and they used to carry out the earth into the pot, And they managed to do it towards the railway, it's about 30 meters tunnel. And on the 15th of April, 1944, they tried to escape. They made the attempt to escape. They didn't know that all the territory around was actually mined. So the half of them, they exploded on the spot, and the other half of them was very easily traced by the Germans. Can you imagine? For 4 months they were burning the corpses. The skin was perpetuated with this terrible odor of the corpses. So it was so easy for the dog the German dog to find them. So half of the survived ones, they also were traced and were killed. But approximately less than 20, about 14 of them, they managed to find the partisans who were in Rudniki forest. And over there, when they came, they were washed every day. And this terrible odor, it came after a month something. So they were washed every day. There were some of them who died within the partisans already because they were sick. And not only sick, but they were morally exhausted. Morally exhausted. Even more than that. Yes? So those they came to be a witness. And anyway, some of the corpses still were there. After this group escaped, there were other people who were brought over here. Other group was brought over here to continue the job. So this was the burn of the corpses commenced. So. And this made such a note. He made a note in Yiddish to commemorate the date when he found his mom and his sisters and the daughters. He wrote a note. Yes. He wrote a note.
Say that we as a South African community draw our ancestry from this country. And we draw our ancestry from this country. And it's important to know that if it was not our parents or our grandparents who died here, it certainly was their cousins or uncles or parents or friends that certainly did not escape this absolute shocking experience that we've just been through here. And I think we should all realize, and when I'm saying this, at least have the kavanah to really have an aliyah for their neshamas, and the only way we can really do that and make some sort of gesture is to give charity in their names. Adonai ma'adam v'tereu ben enosh v'tachshavehu. Adam lehevel dama yamav v'tzer lover. B'boker yatzit v'chalav. בערב ימולל ויבש. למנות ימינו כן הודה, ונביא לבב חוכמה. שמעתם וראה ישר, כי אחרית לאיש שלום. אך אלוהים יפדה נפשי מיד שאול, כי ייקחני סלע. כלה שארי ולבבי, צור לבבי וחלקי אלוהים לעולם, וישוב. יעפה על הארץ כשהיה, והרוח תשוב אל האלוהים, אשר נתנה. Hashem, what is man that you recognize him, the son of a frail human that you recognize him? Man is like a breath, his days are like a passing shadow. In the morning it blossoms and is rejuvenated, by evening it is cut down and brittle. According to the count of our days, so may you teach us, and we shall acquire a heart of wisdom. Safeguard the perfect and watch the upright, for the destiny of that man is peace. But God will redeem my soul from the grip of the lower world, for he will take me, Selah. My flesh and my heart yearn, rock of my heart, and my portion is God forever. Thus the dust returns to the ground as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Yoshai b'seit elyon b'tel Shaddai yitlonan, Omal Adonai machsi u'metzulati, Elohai eftach bo, כי הוא יצליחה מפח יקוש מדבר אבות. בעברתו יסח לך, ותחת כנפיו תחסה, תינה בסוחרה אמיתו. לא תירא מפחד לילה, מחץ יעוף יומם, מדבר באופל יהלוך, מכתב ישוט צהריים. יפול מצדך אליך, ורבבה מימינך אליך לא ייגש. רק בעיניך תביט, ושילום רשעים תראה, כי אתה אדוני מחסי עליון שמת מעונך. לא תענה אליך רעה, ונגע לא יקרא פועלך. כי מלאכיו תצווה לך, בשמך בכל דרכיך, על כפיים יפעונך, פן תגוף באבן רגליך, על שחל ופתן תדרוך, תרמוס כפיר ותנין, כי בי חשך, בהפלתהו, ואסבעהו כי ידע שמי, יקראני בעיניהו, עמו אנוכי בצרה, אכלצהו ואכבדהו, אורך ימים אסביהו, והראהו בשועתי, אורך ימים אסביהו, והראהו בשועתי. Whoever sits in the refuge of the Most High, he shall dwell in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of Hashem, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. I will trust in Him, that He will deliver you from the ensnaring trap and from the devastating pestilence. With His pinion, He will cover you, and beneath His wings you will be protected. Shield and armor is His truth. You shall not be afraid of the terror of night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walks in gloom, nor the destroyer who lays waste at noon. Yet 1,000 encamp at your side, and a myriad at your right hand, but you shall not approach. You will merely peer with your eyes, and you will see the retribution of the wicked, because you said, You Hashem are my refuge. You have made the Most High your dwelling place. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your tent. You will charge His angels for you to protect you in all your ways. On your palms they will carry you, lest you strike your foot against a stone. Upon the lion and the viper you will tread. You will trample the young lion and the serpent, for he has yearned for me, and I will deliver him. I will elevate him because he knows my name. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I am with him in distress. I will release him, and I will honor him, and I will satisfy him with long life and show him my salvation. I will satisfy him with long life and show him my salvation. That was Tehillim 91, Sadi Aleph. We're now just going to do Kuf Lamed, it's a short one. Shir Malot Mimamakim Karati Adonai. Adonai, Shim Abba Koli, Tiena Osnecha, Chashuvot, Lakol Tachminai. Im Avonot, Tishmaya, Adonai, Ishmot, Kol HaKadoshim HaTorim, Shemutu, Vishnehegu, Vishnishtachu, Vishnishvatu, Vishnishrachu, Vishnifbu, Vishnifnaku, Al Kiddush Hashem, Bavu Shivli Neder, Efens Lakaba'at Haskarat Nishmatahem, Bizchar Zeh Tihena Nafshatahem Tzurot ביצוע החיים. אם נשמות אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, אם צאה צדיקים וצדקניות שבגן עדן, ונאמר אמן. מי שוכן במרומים המצאים מנוחה נוכנה על כנפי השכינה, למעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים, בית נשמות, האחים משפחת סקס, אברהם אברמוביץ', משפחת אברמוביץ', משפחת בלברג, משפחת דיסקין, משפחת שבל, שאול בן אליהו, אברהם בן לב, ראובן בן אברהם, יצחק בן יהודה, שמואל בן יוסף, יצחק בן אליהו, משפחת סיגל, משפחת פייגן, משפחת שר, משפחת נאמן, משפחת שנר, דב בן טוביה הלוי, בית נשמות, לאה בת נחום, רחל בת מאיר, מרים בת קלייטן, זהבה בת חיים יוסף, שהלכו לעולמם, בעבור שבלי נדר תן צדקה בעד הזכרת נשמותיהם, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, לכן ועל הרחמים, יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ביצרו החיים את נשמותיהם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם ולומר אמן. אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים המצאים מנוחה נוכנה על כנפי השכינה, ומעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר רקיע מזהירים את נשמות כל הקדושים. העותרים שנמותו ושנהרגו ושנשתחטו ושנשרפו ושנטבעו ושנחנקו על קידוש השם על ידי הצוררים הגרמנים במח שמם וזכרם, בעבור שבלי נדר תן צדקה בעד הזכרת נשמותיהם, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתם, לכן ועל הרחמים יסירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ביצרו החיים את נשמותיהם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם ולומר אמן.
Amen.
Okay, people the men should say Kaddish together. Gadol v'yikadash shemei rabah, v'almad yivrach rutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'chon v'chadachol beit Yisrael, v'agalav zman kariv v'mru amen. Yehei shmorach olam amer maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'tamam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadav v'yitalev v'talev v'lal shmei kadashah v'yirhu, le'elam mikol b'chata v'shirata, tushkata v'nechmata, v'amiram amar v'mru amen. יהי שלמה רבה משמע בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח אני מאמין, אף על פי שיפמע עם כל דרך כבדו. אני מאמין, אני מאמין, אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח, בביאת המשיח, ואף על פי שיפמע.
Gave a cigarette, and then he proposed himself to one of Ghetto of Vilna Ghetto. They have a lot of physical activities. So he was the one who sits usually in the first row.
Notorious, that's correct.
What do you remember? What do you remember?
Remember that we were all afraid of him. And his orders were just...
You know that they formed in Vilnius Ghetto, they formed this resistance organization which was called SPO, United Partisans. So they were united because all parties were represented. So it was the leader, Itzhak Wittenberg, who was communist, and Abba Kovner, and it was Joseph, Abba Kovner was from Hashomer Hatzair, and it was Joseph Glasman from Beitar. And later some Zionist group of Chachalutz and Hadror, they later joined also the SPO. There was one more independent group of Yehieskel Sheinbaum, who actually resisted to the Germans with a machine gun. It's the famous revolt when they fought that it's a liquidation of the ghetto, but it was a group of Germans who came into the ghetto to collect people for the working camps in Estonia.
Yes, this I remember vividly, that gate where we used to come out of the gate, into the gate from work. And those policemen, the Lithuanian policemen were probably bribed, I don't know the details, but the Jewish policemen took chances and risks, and as you can see, even children, they used to smuggle a bit of food or anything, and they used to close their eyes and let through the...
Yes, on the other hand, when Lubitskaya, the singer, yes? Luba Lubotska was found with a handful of the grain or something she was trying to carry. She was sent to Panar only for that. Theater, withdrawing troops of the Germans, they were also... Labai ačiū, ponas Karosai, viso gero.
My place is here, but my husband is here.
Somebody needs to double your feet.
What's that okay? Yes, this one.
There are some dilapidated old homes right outside the front of the forest. These are witnesses to the shootings and the crowds.
Joseph Glassman. Genchka, вы помните его, yeah?
There was a photograph in the museum of him.
Yes, Joseph Glassman. And he escaped from the ghetto. You know that there were big discussions among the those FO members whether to leave the ghetto or whether to stay in the ghetto. The arguments were like that we are young and we can bury the rifles, we can leave, but with our mothers and fathers, with our elderly people who cannot do it. So there was a lot of discussions. This gentleman, he decided that he should leave, and he left. He was killed near the Narach Lake in Belarus, because they partisan troops were discovered by the Germans, and they were killed, almost all of them. There was quite a big group with them. Almost all of them were killed.
It was on the right side.
And you went to Kaiserwald.
And I went, yes, they sent us. The first one was
the
Kaiserwald.
The one who went on the other side, where they
were dead.
Were
taken to
Panar.
Panar.
To Panar. Did you stay over the night near the hospital, near Subachovka? The whole night you were over there.
Right, and
over
there was
there,
a little...
those people who were...
On Rabbi Eliyahu, as you can see, Ben Shlomo Zalman from Vilna, probably one of the greatest. There is a Gaon. I mean, Gaon is a genius. Gaon is someone above the normal. And who was he? He lived here in the 18th century. And he is probably foremost known because he was the greatest mitnaged. Mitnaged is opposing to the Hasidut. Okay? The Hasidim started in this area as well, Lithuania, Poland, by Baal Shem Tov in the end of the in the beginning of the 17th century, 18th century. Sorry, I mixed up. 18th century. Now, when you look at the period, I told you that in 1648 there were the Cossacks killing, and then the Russians were killing, and then the Polish were killing, and there were pogroms for many, many years. And after that period, there was a false Messiah by the name of Shabtai Tzvi. And many of the Jews here, because of, the trouble and all that, believed in him, believed that he's the real Messiah. But in the late 60s, in 1666, it was supposed to be the year of the Messiah, and he was supposed to be found as the Messiah or whatever, but of course they discovered that he was a false Messiah. And there was such disappointment after that. The Jews felt, we are persecuted. They are, we believe that this one is the Messiah, he's not even the Messiah. And there was a feeling of loss of emunah, of loss of other things. And a few years after that, the Hasidut movement started. As probably on the footsteps or historically after this period. The Hasidut believed just very shortly in Simcha from the heart. Maybe you will tell a little bit more about it, but they believed less in praying and knowing the exact prayers, but more come from the heart, love God really, and be happy with the word of God from the heart. Now, the problem was that Am Israel, for years, how did it continue? From studying the Torah, from morning to night, for praying and not doing the Hasidic way. Gaon of Vilna did not like the Hasidim. He was scared of them. He thought that this is again a false Messiah. This is again a danger to the soul of the nation. And he believed in it really very hard in his heart. And that's the reason he started this movement of what we call the Misnagdim or Mitnagdim, those that are opposing to the Hasidim. Now, we know that Jews sometimes can be very nasty to each other. That we know. But the Mitnagdim did quite a lot of things against the Hasidim. Not because they hated one another or anything, but because they were afraid that they would destroy the Jewishness. So, for example, from Rabbi Eliyahu and from others came the order to excommunicate all Hasidim, not to rent them houses, not to marry them, not to give them, to sell them anything, to kick them out of the city, not to let them in, because if you let them in, they will take over, and then what will happen to Jewishness? It will go. So there was quite a bit of a war, and that's the reason he is quite famous for starting this Mitnagdim. And by the way, until today, we have Hasidim and we have Mitnagdim, and it is very much, and they will not marry each other usually, and they will not, mix usually, but you'll add that. A part of that, the Gaon Vilna was a real Gaon. They say, first of all, and I'm really jealous, that it was enough for him to sleep 2 hours a night. I'm trying, this trip I'm definitely trying, but it's not working. You're succeeding, wow.
But I'm not doing what he did.
What he used to do was, even in the middle of the night, he would study Talmud, he would study Torah, and he would, sometimes fall asleep. It happens even to the Gaon. So what he would do, he would take a little keran, a little pot, cold water, put his feet inside the cold water. Of course he will not fall asleep. Then he will study a little bit more. And that's how he kept awake, and he studied not only Torah, he was great in languages, in math, in astronomy, in many other things. He was a real genius. People from all over came to speak to him, to learn from him. He was regarded and is regarded until today as one of the brightest lights of Judaism. And I think that this is the time for Michael to add a little bit in Malka about the...
Zikaron is Ner Tamid over here. Yes.
It's still there?
Still there, yeah?
So, who is...
Came back to the fold. They were actually becoming like a fringe movement. They were becoming a totally fringe movement, and because the Gaon of Vilna would not meet with them, they had to realize that they couldn't just be a movement that was for everybody, because you must understand, the Frumas in his time was for the elite only, and the general public, the Jews, were not learning Torah all the time.
Where? It's a church, where?
She hasn't recognized the house yet.
Behind the tree.
The trees are the It's a clump of trees, yeah, you see the
Wait a
shoots
moment.
there.
Wait a moment.
Будьте, ребята, медленно
Give
едьте.
it a chance, yeah.
Медленно, хорошо?
I remember the neighbors.
Remember the number?
Oh, we went too far.
Just 90.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's the church, and we lived opposite. God, well, those houses look like this. There's somebody living in them.
Нет,
Oh, God.
they used to have a big house.
Just a moment. There was a bakery on one side, Gilinski, and there was a grocery store where
So
we...
it's something like your house here.
This might be. Just a moment, just a moment. This does not look like a house, but let me see. What number is this?
66.
No, so this is one house before. This?
It's not
There's nothing.
necessarily-
What? Just a moment. Let me see. Can I go down for a minute? You don't mind?
No.
Hans, dette er helt stort der. Hans, det er ikke noe annet sånn. Det er ikke sånn. Hiçbir şey yok. They come to the film too.
The cop said to stay away from it.
What?
The cop said to stay away from it. They don't like
The old film.
Come all the way, take a picture. Huh?
In the home, huh? What are you doing? What are you doing?
But why is this destroyed?
The house is gone. The house is here.
Where was your house?
Our house was here, or like this is standing. Just like this. Houses, quite a few, four here and 4 or 5. I mean, there. Houses like
The courtyard.
there was the
courtyard.
garden. There was the garden.
Between the shops.
It's not now. It's not safe.
I know.
There is a gypsy. If you want to have a problem with criminal thing,
And this is left, my darling. What is the difference?
Another chair. Unbelievable, eh?
So can I use it?
This is the Chabad house in Vilna, and we're coming for dinner to the Rebbe.
Visit a country like this, what's the future? What does the future of this country hold? Is there a future here? Should we rebuild Jewish life here? Is there a reason to rebuild Jewish life here? I was challenged on that question in Joburg, if you recall. Especially looking at the death and looking at the terrible destruction that existed here, and everyone who does come here must go and look at it and see what happened to the community, where our own families come from. I include myself. I had a son born in Kovna. You know where Kovna is? 4 weeks ago yesterday. And my great-grandfather was from Vilna, so we sort of closed the loop there. But so I include myself when I say that we all come from here. And it's important for us to look both at the past, where we come from personally, what happened here, but I believe as importantly what exists here today, what does the future hold, to make some real decisions and ask ourselves real questions about what should be done. When I came to Lithuania 5.5 years ago, I was surprised, as most people are, as many people are, to see that this community resembled most of the communities in the former Soviet Union. Jewish people, young people, older people, the full spectrum of Jewish age group. But when you come to the question of Jewish knowledge, Jewish practice, Jewish involvement in Jewish education, you have a basic big zero. Okay? I was just discussing with Robin's husband.
He's trying to fight, man. You know?
He'll be back at some point. I will go back. Please, tomorrow if you come to camp together. Okay. I'm the director's husband. What was I going to say? The question is about the future, like we said. What was I going to say? Got it, my age, guys. That's very bad. Forget this. Rebuilding the community. And, thank you.
That's a pleasure.
You know, we talk about so much about the Holocaust and the physical loss of life and the destruction of the Jewish people in Europe, and Eastern Europe in particular. And we forget about the spiritual loss of life. This community in Vilna, I don't have the exact numbers, but there were at least 25,000 Jews in Vilna after the war. Okay? Most of the Jews from the shtetls left. Most were killed, of course. But those who did survive were able to run away or be hidden or whatever. Most of them came to the biggest cities, which is Vilna and Kovna. Okay? In the shtetls today, you have very few Jews. You have some shtetls that have absolutely no Jews. You have a few that have smattering of a few number of Jews, up to 13, 15, something like that. But the biggest percentage came to the big cities. And you had Jews who lived the full Jewish life of Vilna, of Kovna, of the shtetl, the full rich Jewish life that you had. From the Bund, I'm the Lubavitcher rabbi saying, don't phone this, to the ultra-Orthodox, so-called. Okay? You had the full spectrum of Jewish life. And you had people who knew that and knew that. What happened to that? How come you come here today and you don't have a semblance of that? How can you walk the streets of Vilna today and you don't have a semblance of the Jewish market and the Jewish life and the Jewish educational institutions that once existed here? And the reason for that, in one word, is the Soviet Union and the Soviet occupation of this country and the Soviet indoctrination of communist ideology and atheism into all people who lived in these countries, and of course in our case to the Jewish people. We don't think about that, I don't think we talk about that enough, and we don't realize what a loss that is, which equals, or perhaps if I can take the liberty of saying, is larger than the physical loss of life of the Holocaust, because it continues today. To come to Vilna and to find Jews who knew about Pesach, knew they have to have matzah on Pesach perhaps, remembered baking matzah secretly during Soviet times, but a Seder, Purim, Shavuos, kosher food, bris, the basics didn't exist here. Okay? And again, we're talking about Vilna, Yerushalayim Delita, or in general Lithuania, wherever your family may come from here, okay? You're talking about that rich history, and to walk here and to see basically nothing from a Jewish standpoint. Again, I don't care where you come from the Jewish spectrum, and it doesn't matter. We're all one Jewish family, of course. But what you get by osmosis, I said in South Africa, what you get by osmosis, especially in a community like Joburg, where you walk into the hypermarket and see so many thousands of items that have the Besdin stamp on them. It's ridiculous. It makes the people in the States should be ashamed of themselves in New York City. But no semblance of the Jewish life that existed here before. And in the 5+ years that we've been here, our work has been, and to someone we were talking about, rebuild Jewish life here, should all good Jews go to Israel? I said my opinion is obviously biased. I've dedicated the last 5.5 years of my life to rebuilding this community. But again, it's not a question of rebuilding enough. It's a question that there are Jews here, there are thousands of Jews here, not tens of thousands, but there's certainly thousands of Jews left in this country. They deserve, at the very least, to have the basics of Jewish education. They deserve, at the very least, to be connected to what existed here before. If we don't give it to them, no one's going to give it to them. If they don't have that, I'm not so sure that all of them are going to people want to go to Israel. Those who had more education, more knowledge, and were more Jewishly involved, they went to Israel already when the gates opened a number of years ago. Okay? Those who remained here, for many different personal reasons, thousands of different reasons, either an elderly family member or their whatever reason it might be, but fundamentally, it's partially because they don't know enough about their Jewish roots for it to pull them. They don't have that pull. Schleppzenisch. Okay? And if we speak in Yiddish, Lithuania, one of the things you do see, I spent some time in Rostov, where David Yeshua is from, and this young man was in 10th grade of our high school this year, which is the first grade of high school. We started school here 3 years ago. This year we added 8 grades. We had 4 grades last year. Went up to 12 this year. This is one of our 10th graders who speaks in English very, very well. I'll ask him maybe to say a few words so we can like in a few minutes about his personal experience from his point of view. But okay. So that's the Jewish community here today. How many Jews in Lithuania today? Where's Regina? Where's the expert? I said this time I met a guy who was formerly, I believe, the chief rabbi of Poland. I asked him how many Jews left in Poland. I met him in the airport of Frankfurt. He says 1.5. Me and another guy consider him half Jewish.
Tomorrow morning, I'm almost by then.
But he was just a black hat and a long beard, so you can't trust these people. That's not okay, by in this room you're in today, we have a soup kitchen here. And today over 100 plus people had a free meal here today. Mostly elderly people, some younger people, some unemployed people. The community here today, if you look at Poland, this place looks like it's in the dumps comparatively. If you look to Belarus, this place is paradise. Okay? And this place looks 1,000 times more Western than it did when I came here 5.5 years ago. You know, they say that there was a rabbi, not a Lubavitcher rabbi, traveled all over the world and said he saw 2 things everywhere, Coca-Cola and Lubavitch. We came here before Coca-Cola. So the city is modernizing and trying to westernize itself, the country in general, but at the same time, the Jewish people, which is a small community, and especially the elderly, are left behind. Not only the elderly Jews, but all the elderly people. The pensions here are between $30 and $50 a month. Am I right? A bit less. Okay. And utility bills in the winter to pay for the apartments that people live in can cost close to $100 a month. Okay, so if you do simple arithmetic, it just doesn't add up. And people simply don't have from where to make ends meet. And as a rabbi, educated as a rabbi, and educated to the type of stuff I do, I never expected to come to a country and get involved in humanitarian aid and giving out food packages before the holidays to a few thousand people, etc., and families. But coming here and seeing the real situation on the ground, if you come to Shul tomorrow, you'll see an elderly man named Moshe, who's short, who's not well emotionally, psychologically, should I say. But that's probably because of the beatings that he received during the war and what he went through. But this man lived. He now got, the government gave him here a different apartment, without heat in the winter, of course. But this apartment is paradise compared to what the man lived in. The man lived in a thing which was like 15th of this room. You couldn't even call it a lean-to. Okay, and they're cooking in one room without light. I took a man from the States there. It just not to be believed. Okay, so the conditions of the way of what people have to go through is very tough. It's very tough for people. There are some Jewish business people here, but Jewish business people, meaning if they're making what would be considered a lower income salary, lower middle income salary in Western standards, that's already considered someone very wealthy. Okay, there was one Jewish businessman here, Igor Shifrin. He's not a Jewish businessman anymore. They claimed that he was trying to bribe someone, which is normal business in the former Soviet Union, but he was Jewish. Okay, and he also just bought himself a Lexus and made a 5-year jubilee of his company in the fanciest nightclub in Vilna. That's a no-no for a Jew. They arrested him. They set him up. They said they arrested this guy, and he was in solitary, I think, for close to 10 months. Okay, I visited him in prison and put on film with him, tried to lift his spirits, but they basically broke apart the man's business. And you call it anti-Semitism? I'll let you be the judge. You know, people ask all the time, do you see anti-Semitism in this country? And I don't think there's government-sponsored anti-Semitism, although there's a flip side to that, which we talked about. But you see individual instances of anti-Semitism, which is very startling. Walking into a public school just down the street here a few years ago, a kid walked by, Hail Hitler. You know, okay, a kid, you know, you get kids cursing at you in English, saying words in English that I've never heard growing up in the States. But the disturbing thing is you see occasionally instances of quote-unquote educated people saying anti-Semitic things that you know, political correctness hasn't gotten to Lithuania, and people say the most startling things to you. Things that shouldn't even be repeated in such company. I had one Lithuanian lawyer say to me, he says, you know, I used to think what the Lithuanians did to the Jews during the war was wrong, but now I understand why they did it. And now I understand why they did it after getting to know the Jewish community. She didn't find anything scandalous, anything terrible. And of course there's nothing terrible one could find out that could justify something so terrible, right? These are, you know, we talked about the government-sponsored anti-Semitism. I think in our work, in reaching out to the Jewish community here, we've only seen the most cooperation and received the most cooperation from government circles. The flip side of it, like I said when we were talking with Robin and her husband, Mark. Is that there are a number of people who've been deported from the States. There's a guy who lived just originally from Boston. There's a guy who lived just outside of Boston, Norwood, Mass. A man by the name of Lulakis, who was in his 90s, who was the head of the Vilna police during the war. Okay? Head of Vilna police during the war means that he's responsible for all the people in Fanat. We went today, I believe. Right? We did today. This man was about to be deported from the States. They were about to take away his citizenship because he had, you know, lied about not, etc., etc. And he came back to Lithuania, basically to a hero's welcome. There's a television program called Lietuvos Rytas Television. Lietuvos Rytas is the famous, most popular daily here in Lithuania. They have a weekly syndicated program. And this guy did a story on Lulakis, and he said that Lulakis is innocent just like Demjanjuk was innocent. And just like Demjanjuk had to leave that terrible Jew-controlled United States to get justice in Israel, so too Lulakis had to come here to get justice. Okay, the man has been here, came summertime 2 or 3 years ago. Probably 2 years ago. And he hasn't been prosecuted. They say he's sick, he's this, he's that. And again, the problem is that it becomes a Jewish issue. All the Jewish organizations, the Israeli government have to do all the screaming and demanding, and Lithuanian people are very defensive about it, don't want to hear it. Lithuanian people say you're branding all of us as anti-Semites and all of us as Jew killers, and that's not true. Well, of course, no one's saying that. We're just saying that you guys should be demanding these people prosecution instead of defending them. So there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues here in the community. Just to talk about a few of the other programs that we've done here to try to get the Jewish community back involved in its roots. I think I said in South Africa that we have these branding irons, and as soon as a guy walks in and talks about it, it's like brand of Chabad, right? There. That's why you see all the black beards and the long beard there and the black hat on the Yeshua there. But when we first came here, it was this year in school that we had the first child who had a bris on 8 days, probably close to 50 years. Okay, the second one was my son, 3.5 weeks ago. But that child's great-grandmother is from a town just outside Shalai. She eats in our kitchen. Okay, and there was a gentleman from South Africa, he made another name, Jonathan Beer, who was here in town. He was at the kitchen today eating, and he went over to this lady, and he wants to know from everybody where they're from, because Lithuanian roots, in which town they come. He asked them about everyone, where they come from. I don't have an idea, I don't ask everyone where they come from, I live here. But he asked her, she told him, and great-grandmother, 75 years old, and her nachas at watching after so many years of communism, etc., her great-grandchild having a bris on 8 days. We flew in a mile especially for that. But again, the basics, Jewish life didn't exist here. We had during the summer camp, during the winter, we bring out a moil who's expert in doing older children, young adults, and we have people at the age of 17, 20, 10 having a bris. Okay. I tell them they're crazy, I wouldn't do it if I were shoes. But they do it, and you see people step forward and do things that wouldn't be done in Western society, that people wouldn't have the mysterious nefesh, the self-sacrifice to do. And you see that despite Soviet occupation and despite the Holocaust, the Pintele Yid, the spark of the Jewish neshama that's in each and every one of us never gets covered up, and can be covered only so much, but it's always there, it's always waiting to be uncovered, and that the Jew is waiting to get involved and embrace it. And of course he'll make his choices, and he'll do what he wants, or she wants, right? When no one's forcing anyone to do anything in any particular way, we're only giving them the tools to be involved and get educated. What else can I say? Those of you who will be lucky enough to come to our camp tomorrow and meet some of the kids, we'll have a chance to talk to them, ask them where they come from, and which shtetl, and talk to them about what it's meant to them to get involved in Jewish life. That's basically, in a nutshell, that's what I have to say. If you guys have any questions, like a shot.
This property, it's your property. I mean, this is Chabad, and where is it being funded from?
Okay. This building was a number of apartments. We bought it through a sponsor from the States and gutted it, basically, and reconstructed it to our needs. Okay? There is a building in the very center of town on Gaona Street. Are you on Gaona Street today? Yeah. Did you see the building that Regina pointed out to you, the building that belonged to the Jewish community before the war? It was given back to the synagogue. The synagogue sold it. She did. Okay. Restitution of property is another issue, which is a very sticky one here. You can understand the poor country in transition has problems returning property. And if you look at the lists, which I have, of property ownership in the old town of Vilna, or the old town of Kovna, every second or third name is Jewish. Okay? And a lot of those people's relatives, some of those people's relatives are still around today. And they were to start restituting all that property, it would cost them a lot of money to displace the people living in these properties. Unfortunately, the Lithuanian government isn't very forthcoming about it. They don't say, this is costly, we can't do it, although we have to. They say, we don't really have to, it's not really So, on communal property, they're a little bit more forthcoming, not much. They've returned some buildings in Kovna, they've returned more buildings. There's a massive fight about it between two Jewish groups there. There's only 500 to 1,000 Jews there, but, there's the shul I go to and the shul I don't. You guys know the joke, I'm sure. So restitution of property is another issue. have a kindergarten that has about another 30.
From kindergarten to grade 12.
Yeah. Well, kindergarten was about 4 years ago.
110 kids.
And who are the teachers?
That's right, where did you get your teachers from?
Well, my wife is the teacher director, and we had a couple. They also just had a baby. They went to Israel, but they're from the former Soviet Union. They left when they were kids, and he's a rabbi, and she's a rebbitzin, and they, they're very good. And they came. They're living with us. They'll be back in September, please God. And we have volunteers from Israel. We have a number of girls who come and guys who come and teach. So if anyone, we will draft any one of you guys, because one of the fundamental principles from Babish is if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. If you know Beis, teach Beis.
Is it recognized by the Ministry of Education also?
Absolutely, yeah. We're a private school, but we're registered. We just give out diplomas to our 12th graders, yeah.
I wanted to ask you something different. A lot of Jews that forgot that they were Jews are still coming forward.
This is not Poland, but in Poland there's a phenomenon of a lot of people who were, I mean again the numbers are God knows how many. It's probably, in my opinion, it's probably in the hundreds, some people say in the tens of thousands. But parents who give their young children to a Polish family and who were killed, and then on the deathbed the parents say to the kid that they're really Jewish. I actually met a Jew from Lithuania like that, from Svenčionis. This is an interesting story. This man's a priest. Walking down the street to my home after shul service on Shavuos, my wife, my family, and we walked into a guy, an older woman from Svenčionis, the same woman who said about the Torah scroll wallpaper, and she's walking with a priest. I said hello to her, and this guy's Jewish. He was born in Svenčionis. You know the name of the town in Lviv. So it's a funny town. The kid was given by the mother to a Polish woman in Svenčionis and told to hide during the war. She said people in that town knew who she was. She didn't have kids, so she went off to Poland. The kid was very interested in religion. She sent him, against her will, sent him to religious academy. He became a priest, and today he teaches in a seminary for priests, and he's Jewish.
He knows it.
What?
He knows it.
Now he knows it. He's been to Israel. Look, you see, us Westerners, we like to brand people. Excuse me. Hey, you guys, you're Jewish, you know it now. Come on, start doing this stuff. People are people, and when people are indoctrinated and educated with something, imagine, the man's 45. Imagine I'm doing 45 years of education, upbringing, and a way of living your life, and saying, okay, now that. You know what I'm saying? It takes, it's a process, let's put it that way.
What do you see happening? I mean, obviously it's going to be tied to economic development, I know like that. But do you think that economic development could bring and improve, community of Jews? And then do you think within that your work would have, collaboration with this? How do you see it? Obviously you wouldn't be here, if you didn't think you're going to teach here.
Not necessarily. See, in Lubavitch we're educated to serve, not to look for careers or to look to build things. I've always told people, and I mentioned it today, that if all the Jews live here, we'll shut the lights and we'll leave as well. But again, there are Jews here today. There are thousands of them. There are people who need the education and need to be reached out to and brought into the fold. Okay, brought in and educated. Many of them, because of that, will make the choice of going to Israel. Okay, we've had that experience already. Many of them will make, because of what we're doing, will move along. Others will set foot. I honestly don't know. To be very honest with you, I don't know. Okay? I think, again, this is my very biased opinion, that we have to invest in this community today. We bought a school building where a kindergarten is. It's unfortunately closed tomorrow because it's a Lithuanian wonderful holiday. But I think we have to invest today because this is the reality on the ground today. Okay, 5-10 years down the line it may change. I don't think you're going to have 20,000 Jews in Lithuania, barring the unexpected. I don't think this is going to become a haven for Jews, barring a Kosovo happening in Belarus or something. People streaming across the border. But I don't see the community growing. Stabilizing at what it is a possibility. But to be very honest with you, again, we're used to thinking in 5 and 10 year plans. I honestly don't think that way. 5 and 10 years, yes, what would I like to have done in this community as far as building the community, but not where the community is going to go. Because, and again, that if I see a young person who I think is better off in Israel, I'll make sure they go to Israel and I'll encourage them. Okay, certain families, I think they may be better off here at this point in time. Okay, so I'm not biased either way in that regard. It's just that I deal with the situation on the ground. I mean, I've said that to many people, they didn't really have what I was saying, but I hope I made myself clear.
Let me,
So I'm fine, and one more thing I wanted to tell, school is just great, and you know, we have like Jewish classes, and we have regular classes that every other school has, and the thing is that our classes are on much higher level, because our classes like family meetings, you know, we're sitting like a family, like in a little circle, and the teacher or the rabbi who teaches on the class is like I don't know, like a parent or somebody who takes care of his own children, you know, and that's what happens in school. Actually, not during the whole class, it's, you know, it's a school, you know, you can't love every teacher, you know, that's cool. But anyways, we have a great time at school, and also during the summer, this camp, pretty nice experience because it was the first time I started learning Aleph Beis and all the brachas, and then like they eventually say in the morning, what you say before meal, what you say after meal, what you have to say before you go to sleep and stuff like that. And it was nice. And but the price of the camp. The price of the camp was 13 fleetas. And divided on 4, you get it in dollars. For almost 3 weeks.
$4,
That's third. Second, the price in the regular camp for that time, in 1994, was $40 or $45. But now the price, I think, is still the same, right? It's maybe
it's 50.
So it's 50. 50 divided by 4. It's still like, you know, not. And we're now on the regular camp for 3 weeks is over $120 American. So see the difference, and Rob is paying for it. So you So and you see.
I'm sending my children to camp.
So, you see, that's a great deal, and
Mark is giving you the job.
He needs, you know, a lot of help. Also, what about, like, this thing which happens over here on regular year, except the dining room in this place, Rabbi has a yeshiva for older people. And yeshiva works on Mondays and Wednesdays and Sunday mornings for women, and Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday morning with women as well as for the men. But we study in different rooms. And but anyway, that's nice. And actually, I had a nice experience going to the yeshiva this year, and it gave me more knowledge because the things which I studied in school, that's the things which I studied in school. Things which I was studying here, like Gemara and other things like we touched some Kabbalah, right, this year, in Tanya. Because in school we studied the first part of the Tanya. The second part of the Tanya was studied here with Shiva. And it's a pretty interesting thing. Anything, like, any questions or something?
Well, you can see it's the 6th of July 1999. First home to Kaf Beis, Tammuz,
Tafshin and Tet. I'm standing here outside the city, the city of Mariupol. After having driven for over 2.25 hours from Vilnius to get here. A lot of our history goes back this far. And we've just come down from Kovno, obviously the major city in the area. Okay, we're busy driving into Mariupol now. Mariupol Central.
But combining them together.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. These are the three colors of the Lithuanian flag. Green, the yellow and the red. See a lot of new buildings, modern buildings here.
Very modern, eh?
Very modern, eh? Sure, look at the cars, the Mercedes-Benz.
I thought this was going to be a statue of Shiro. Tell me what that
So you get to see some of the old houses. Zelina, who is from Mariupol all her life, hey?
Was ist alles?
Ich bin geboren dort.
Nein, der ist geboren in Meric.
In
Und
Meric.
da gebe ich dem Bicherle, weil ich gebe die Regine Kapelowitsch. Das ist auch Meric.
Meric.
Ich habe das gekriegt von Israel, von unserem Meric. Und ich habe da gelebt bei einer Schwester in Mariupol.
In Mariupol.
Bei einer Schwester von 36. Jahr. Und ich bin da gegangen in die jüdische Gymnasie.
She went to the Jewish gymnasia here.
Und meine Eltern...
Which
in welcher Jahr?
In der 36. 37.
Ah, okay.
Und meine Eltern und die Schwestern und Brüder alle umgekommen in Meric.
And they all came to Meric.
Und da ist da beschrieben in dem Bücherle.
Okay.
Und ich bin raus und da übergelassen eine Schwester.
She came out and left her sister.
Eine Schwester mit ihrer Familie,
And
2 Kinder, ein Mann.
Children, a husband.
Übergelassen und ihr Mann gelaufen, zufällig in Russland.
And they went, thank God, to Russia.
Und dort bin ich hereingefallen in die 60. Divisie. Du weißt, also ich bin eine litwische 60. Divisie, wo es ein gewinn sehr Sache Jüdische dort. Nur alle Jüden.
There were a lot of Jews there, and she fortunately came amongst them.
Gekämpft gegen den deutschen Faschismus.
Against the German fascism.
Nur, und als wird dort geendigt zu dienen, und nachdem weitergelebt und gekommen, da im Mariupol gelebt weiter. Aber da habe ich keinen gefunden. Keinen gefunden.
And she found nobody here in Mariupol when she came back.
Nur mein Bruder habe ich dort getroffen in Divisie.
She met her brother in Russia.
Ich bin raus von Mariupol.
When he came out of, he had come out of Mariupol.
Ist dort gewesen, ein Partisan, ein Kommandier von den litwischen Partisanen ist der jüdische. Mit dem Geld herausgeworfen da in Litwin als Dessant.
Ja, okay.
Ja, als Dessant, ein jüdischer Partisan.
Ja, a Jewish partisan.
Nun, und da die Banditen nach dem Krieg, den 5. Juli, im 45. Jahr, dem erschossen.
Wait. On the 5th of July, 1945,
Ми нотим erschossen.
Мокиква було в 7 кварталі, так?
Ja, bitte, ja, signora.
Ну, та і Кріспен, послухайте,
the bandits, Mark, you're listening.
Yeah.
Bandits shot him.
Oi.
My brother.
Mein Bruder haben die Banditen erschossen, zugejagt.
They killed him.
Im 45. Jahr.
In the 45th.
Dem 5. Juli.
On the 5th of July.
Just before the end of the war, eh?
Zorach Ragowski. Sein Name.
Zorach Ragowski was his name.
Und ihr gewinnt Chiena Ragowski.
And she was Chiena Ragowski.
Chiena.
Nun, also, was ist...
Okay. Sorry.
Ja. Und nun, ich lebe da die ganze Zeit. Mein Mann, ich gewinne ein Litwiner von der Armee.
Her husband was from Armee.
Sehr ein guter Mensch, aber er ist nicht so lange gestorben.
En nou?
Ja, een stukje in Leemedelen. Hoe blijven zij? Daar blijven ze, in Marburg.
In Wie viel Jiden zijn
Zijn niet ook niet. Een door familie was wil gar niet wissen als mensen zoals ze zijn.
There's one family here who don't
Een
want
door
anyone
zijn
to know
niet
that they're Jewish.
normale, een beetje. Einer sagt, was sie lebt bei mir unten, aber ich komme mit ihr Labas dort nur.
So they just learned hello too.
Kao nas još nu da se te parodiše kad hoće to i vjetaj kad tako buvo moke klava.
А ще говорит, тикси это вета не знал. Маждалк, йо. Da ist die Brübe Gedimino, die Gas. A jüdische gewesen Gas. Alle Jiden haben da gelebt.
This used to be a Jewish street. All Jews used to live here.
Sorry, like you
Must I translate?
So Judin, no?
We're going to that place.
Yeah.
Dem die Kaserne.
She wants to take you to the place where all the Jews were shot.
Okay.
So I think we'll go there.
Okay, so here we are.
Es sind gesehen etliche litwinische Familie, aber meistens jüdische.
Mostly there were Jews here. There were a few Lithuanians.
Ich allein, aber da gelebt bei der Schwester, aber da auf dem Winkel. Ich stand in der Stube.
She lived here on the corner with her sister.
Wo die erste Bombe ist, am 22. Juni bombardiert Marienpol.
The 22nd of June they bombed Marienpol.
Wir standen in unserer Stube.
And this was where the house was.
Who bombed it? The Russis?
Wer haben das gebombt?
Die Deutschen haben bombardiert am 22. Juni, in 41. Jahr.
1941.
Wisst ihr, angeben, ihr kennt nicht Jüdisch.
Kennt, aber...
Ist da, wir gelebt bei der Schwester und dort werden bombardiert. Die erste Bombe ist mir noch nie gewusst, dass das ist ein Krieg.
In the first bomb, they didn't know it was a war. They didn't realize that it was a war.
Und da ist doch sehr nun der Deutsche, Pale, ihr wisst doch, der Grenz. Und so sind dort...
The border for Poland is very near here.
Yeah, that's right.
Ich fliege da, 20 Kilometer.
20 kilometers
Ist die Samoloten, 4 Säger in der Früh, schon bombardiert
4 o'clock in the morning they already bombed Marienpol.
Weil sie sind da gesessen in dem Pale.
The Germans had invaded Poland, so they were already there.
Nun, da bombardiert. Und wir sind nach Hause draußen, fragen wir, russische Soldaten gehen herum. Und wir sind gefragt, wo sie da, sagen sie, Manöver. Sie alle haben nicht gewusst, dass das sich angeben,
They went and they asked the Russian soldiers. Russian soldiers were here and they said, what's going on? And the Russian soldiers said, we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. They themselves didn't know that there was a war.
So this is the road. What do they have like a school here, right?
Given to a Talmud Torah, a Schule, a Gymnasium.
Ja, Gymnasium ist gewesen, ja.
Und a Talmud Torah, und a Schule.
A Schule gewesen, gleich jenen weg. Die Schule ist da gewesen, da ist da. Da, hier, da darf man fahren, ein bisschen weiter. Gleich weiter, eine jüdische Schule.
Und a Talmud Torah?
Nein, Talmud Torah ist da nicht gewesen. Erst haben die jüdische Schule gewesen als Talmud Torah. Aber die jüdische Schule, und da vor Jahren sind etliche gewesen gekommen, wie ich sage, ich habe sie geführt. Dort haben sie gewiesen, sie weiß nicht. Nur nachdem haben sie weggeführt, auf dem Ort, wo sie gewinnen, da schossen alle in Arm voller Rieden, 8.000, 9.000 Fliegen dort.
Then she took them to the place where all the 9,000
Were
Marienpol Jews were murdered.
By the river, eh?
Shot. She's
By the river,
going to
eh?
take us there.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's
Just pause me whenever you don't want me.
Let's, what I want to do...
Houses are standing
Ich
in those
weiß ja gar nicht,
places. Do you still want to see them?
Yeah,
Will das sehen.
But what actually is still left?
Was ist da?
Is the Schule?
Was bleibt da? Ist etwas geblieben von der Moleküljahren?
Keine Sache, von jedem nicht, da keine Sache nicht.
There's nothing.
Ich sage, die Schule ist da mit ihr abgeremontiert, aber jetzt ist dort ein Schwetima, nur wie man sagt, Schwetima Namai. Dort, wo es geht, die Schule ist die litwische. Ja, dort, ich weiß dort. Es ist so geschrieben, dort ist noch da zu sehen. Also
Aber in dem Gegend, da, wo wir sein nicht, ist
Da
gewinn
ist
etwas?
Das ist gewinn da ein Anfang, ein Pradinja Mokikla, wie man sagt, ein Anfang, Schule, da ist gewesen in Wien.
A nursery school.
Und die jüdische Gymnasie, das gewinn auf Gestutschow.
Wo in dem Gas?
Dort noch ein bisschen weiter.
Ein bisschen weiter?
Ja, ein
dort
bisschen
nicht.
weiter.
Ja.
Aber doch nervt mich das nicht so.
Dem Nothing lebt
Jeder. Kommt vorn wegen verweisen jüdische Schule.
Okay.
Ja, und nachdem...
You want to take us to the shul? Is anything you
Ja,
want to
wo
see?
ist noch geblieben was?
Okay,
You,
I know,
they
I
were
know,
in the York family.
I know that
that
my grandparents used to live opposite the gymnasium.
Seine
for a while.
Seide hat gelebt, hat gewohnt, an Gegend die Gymnasie. Will sehen, wo die Platz ist gewesen, wo sein Seide
Aber steht dort nichts anderes.
Aber er will das, er will das fotografieren, zu nehmen nach Heim, zu weisen...
Der Seide lebt noch?
Nein, der Seide lebt nicht.
Where did your grandparents go?
Aber seine Mutter lebt hier.
South Africa.
But where did they get out?
In 25.
Nur kommt
So, Elena,
Why is he just going to he's going to take you to where the
but tell
gymnasium?
me, are you the last Jewish lady in Mariupol?
Du bist die letzte jüdische Frau in Mariupol.
Noch eine da, aber sag ich, sie will nicht wissen, als eine jüdische.
There is another family, but they don't want to know that they're Jewish.
Hey, what
Und ich bin eine jüdische geboren und ich bin...
Und du bleibst der jüdische.
And your daughters are
Verbrochen
also?
zu sehen am Mensch wie dir.
Und dann
Meide,
dann Tochter, mit wie hat sie verheiratet?
Deine Tochter seinen Chasniger?
Chasniger.
Kennen mit wie jüdische?
Nein.
Nein.
Ihr bist die Einzige. Ich schreibe sich mit
Aber dein Einiglich, seine Nieden?
Aber
alle wissen, dass es eine jüdische...
Sie wissen?
Ja, aber verschrieben litwische, weil
Ja, aber sie wissen das?
Alle wissen, ja.
Sie wissen
And the Kinder?
Warte, wie können
Wie alt sind deine Einiglich?
Einiglich ist ein Gräse, die Einiglich. Ja.
Und wer hat die Chasniger?
Mit Litwiner. Zwei noch nicht Chasniger und zwei Chasniger. Nu, je weißt doch, was
Sie will bleiben da?
Nu ja. Früher, wenn ich auf Jagd in Kopf wollte ich gefahren in Israel, wollten sie gewinnen jüdische. Ja. Und dort wollten wir leichter, besser gelebt. Da ist das sehr schwer leben und verrieden ist es sehr schwer.
Ja?
Ist noch great. Antisemitism.
Yeah. It's very hard to live here. There's terrible anti-Semitism.
Aber ich hab schon.
And she's sorry that she didn't then go to Israel.
Aber ich
the assimilation of all her children, grandchildren. She's got 2 grandchildren who are not yet married. Her other grandchildren are all married with Lithuanians. And they all know that they
Do they hate them that they're Jewish?
Ich bin...
The husbands?
The Männer, was dein Einiglich
Sie sind gute Menschen. Sie sind eine gute Menschen, ja. Und mein Mann...
Sie wissen als...
Sie müssen wissen, aber wir nicht wissen, als ihr mal Jüdisch. Und mit dem Verschreiber sagt ihr mal Jüdisch. Und mein Pass ist da, ihr bin ein Jüdisch. Alle wissen, ihr Menschen.
Du hast mir gesagt, als da Antisemitismus.
In Litwiner da, ja. Die Tschepien sagen auch, wo noch ein Jid, weißt du, seht wie viele Banditen, was im Jahr getrieben. Und Amerika ja rausgeschickt auf zurück in Litwi. Und keinem hat mir noch nicht abgemischt. Einer ist so alt, einer ist krank.
Warte mal, so many people that Americans sent back here after the war, Lithuanians, who they know have killed people, but not one of them has been processed or charged. One is too old, one is too sick. I'm just repeating what she's saying.
Everyone knows this.
It's just telling us. Und alle Mann wissen das, alle Mann kennen das. Alle Mann kennen das. Und es ist
die vergangene Woche.
Aber als du gehst in Gas, rein, sagen sie etwas?
No, die was seine Kultur, die Menschen, wollen keinmal nicht sagen, du bist ein Jüdische oder ich bin eine Sache. Aber weißt doch, sie da sehen, was sie reden zwischen sich. Oh, also geht ein Jüdisch, Jidov.
Ach, du hörst das, it's still heard here that when she walks in the street, among the cultural people, there's no anti-Semitism. But there are people that when she walks past them, they say, there's the Jewish woman. There goes the Jewish.
Ist die vergangene Woche aber gelernt in Litwische Zeitung, als etliche Deputaten von Sejm beten die litwische Regierung, man soll anschreiben, einen Brief wegen dem Passol von Israel, wegen der Unheiten der Woche, was hat da seine Gewinn gekommen in Amerika Jiden und in litwische Jiden, und hat noch direkt, als Liti ist das Land, wo die Banditen, was die Jiden in der Zeit von der Krieg gehen herum frei. Und etliche Deputaten von Sejm sehr erbetet, man darf ihn aufrufen, man darf ihn herausschreiben, weil sehr gegen unsere Gegner regieren. Ich verstehe, jede Woche das gewesen geschrieben in Zeitung. Ich sehe noch, der Mann Jampoler Deputat, was sie da sagt, wo wir alles, nachdem Smetone, was sie gewesen früher, der Präsident von Liti, seiner Heiniko. Sie haben geschrieben, mit der aufrufen dem Ben Gardon, nur der was Passol, sehr redet gegen Liti. Banditen. Und sie sehen, als keiner hat man noch nicht abgemischt. Keiner mit. Wie viel Amerika herausgeschickt sind, als 7 Banditen, was die Jiden. Sie sind gewesen in die Polizei, da in der Zeit von Deutschland. Und seine Zitten und mit Zitten, nein, du bist doch schon so alt, sie sind schon schwach, sie sind schon invalid. Keiner hat noch nicht abgemischt. Du sagst nicht, dass alle seine Banditen.
Nein.
No,
she doesn't say that all of them are terrible, but they are known war criminals wandering around here. They are well known to have shot people and everything else. And now the time's coming where they're too old to be processed and nothing will be ever done. So the account of the death of those people that they actually killed is not being avenged. It's not being sorted out.
I think that's
Okay. We'll go net zum Schul?
Ja.
O mes pavažiuosim tiesiai ir kur nors va čia, vot šitoj vietoj sustosim. Būtų ir čia, ir...
Jo, aš jums parodysiu.
O paskui pavažiuosim link centrinės aikštės, va čia kažkas tai buvo, bet aš paprasčiausiai, čia jau ko gero nieko nėra.
Nieko nėra, daugiau aš jums sakau, kad nei senos kapinės nieko neliko. Kiti nori pasižiūrėti, kur buvo senos. Andere, was kommen, will sehen, was ist gewesen, der Käfer von Amol, Farbe Krieg. Keine Sache dort nicht da. Nein, groß versetzt, wie man sagt, keine Sache nicht.
Und der Käfer ist nicht so?
Keine, alle Mazevis zugenommen von dort, keine Sache nicht da. Oder weggegangen wird, oder...
Wir haben gedacht, zu gehen zur
Dar liko kažkas, irgi nieko.
Iki nieko neliko.
Tiktai pastatė.
Jo, pastatė, nedapauja. Naujo ten laidotuvių namai. Nieko nėra, gal kur ten akmenukas buvo ir taip. Lena. Ja.
Okay. Ich bin Helene.
Lena, and the family?
Meine?
Helena?
Früher gewesen Ragowski Chiene. Auf Jiddisch Chiene. Und jetzt bin ich Lena Stanislawaitin. Noch ein Mann. Er versteht noch.
Und dein Mann ist gewesen ein Jiddischer, ja?
Der Litwiner.
Ein Litwiner?
Sehr ein guter Mensch. Wir haben zusammen gewesen auf dem Front. 3,5 Jahre. 3,5 Jahre. Und alle jiddische Chaveren sind gewesen seine Chaveren.
Ah, really?
Ja, bei uns in der Divisie, die Litwische, ist gewesen 40% Jiden. Nur alle, wo sind
40%, ja?
Von Lipi, alle haben gekämpft.
Kennst du Baku? Ist das Wachsen, wo du geblieben? Baku. Wo ist Baku in Russia?
Baku?
Ja. In Black Russia.
Das ist das so?
Baku. Black Russia. In Aserbaidschan ist so. Aserbaidschan, nur Stoliku.
Baku, dort in Aserbaidschan.
Ja, because ihr seid von dort? Nein, mein
Mein Vater ist gekommen von Slonim Amur.
Von Slonim?
Von Slonim Amur.
Das ist viel. Ja. Ich habe mir gedacht, das Slonim ist viel. Oh, das
Ich gewinne aber zwischen Pelm und Lippe.
Zet even. Zet zich nog als ze gewend die school.
Ja.
Zet.
And now?
Look at the top, she says, is the only time that you can see that it once was a shoe.
Yeah. But you can see this building straight away, hey? Can I pick it up as we got past you? The kind could check. I wonder what it is used for now. You can see where the tablets used to be with a crown on top there. You can see this is the last and only remaining remnant of Jewish life here in Mariupol.
It's used today.
Yeah.
Used today as a school board. All the schools.
All the schools.
The boards. Oh, I also want a picture. All the boards.
Yeah.
The schools meet here. This is the central. This is the educational headquarters.
Good. Look at all these houses around here.
Take a few pictures. It's all right. Come.
I don't want you to.
Just showing how upset you were that you couldn't take a proper picture of me. And look at that beautiful smile there.
Hij lacht toch
Ja.
niet, maar ik ken het, weet niet wie dus und erst los nach Heim. Ich gedacht, los nach Heim und ich habe nicht gesucht.
Okay.
Amol wil ik hem schicken alleen. Er komen alleen.
Je bent er van eens
You'll be sorry.
Ja.
You'll be sorry.
Er zijn een schijnen.
Ja, schijnen.
Er zijn een schijnen in Dromafrika.
Educational center in Mariupol. Right next to the shore.
Abgeremontiert und gemacht, also. Und da ist ein Gewinn sehr zerbrochen, verlosen, da ist Gewinn als Platz von Bergerin, wie sagt man das, von Frucht.
Ah, het was een fruit market in de old days.
Ich flieg da echt immer noch Käfen.
It was a fruit market, this,
And
when they came back to it, it was completely wiped out. It was completely broken. Our fruit and our educational institute. Is this a museum?
Yeah, dat is een museum.
Ah, this is a museum now.
Het is een huis.
Museum.
Nee, niet een huis.
Das is given
Und da ist die Stadtpark gewesen.
This is the park.
This is the park that we read about this morning.
That's right.
Where the kids used to like go on Shabbos afternoon.
Shabbos afternoon, they stay and they come and talk.
Everything changed. It's almost identical to that other place. Hold on a sec.
Vergesst noch nicht durchzugeben, oder jemanden.
Nein, mir
Und was ist gewesen?
Was ist so gewesen? Das ist die jiddische oder neolithische? Litwische.
Oh, this one is not good. And what's your name?
En zo had
Schule.
school.
Dat is al naar mooier.
School.
Teachers school.
Ja. Ramides Park. Hij heeft een park.
Right, nice to sit by the river, eh?
Yeah, right by the river.
Nothing. Okay, so stay here, Hess. Stay here.
There is the Shupa, which is the name of the river.
Go, Mark, I can't see you. Wait, go down here, okay?
You're coming back here. I'm not going down.
Come down because it's special.
No,
this is the site.
Let me hold your hand, Mark.
The site where the Lithuanians.
Mark, I must hold your hand.
Are you getting this?
I'm waiting for you. Go.
This is the site where the Lithuanians.
Mark, I
So,
need to hold your hand.
wait till you're down here.
Mark, I can't walk without holding your hand.
But I'm just filming this.
Be careful.
No, me, I'm fine. Just help her.
Okay, I'll wait.
I'm okay. Help her. Okay.
Okay, so we're now on the river, right by the river. I forget what you called it. It's the Siena or something.
I'll ask her.
We're now going to the area where they murdered Lithuanians. The Mariupolniks murdered their fellow neighbors. 9,000. 9,000. Right, the Mola. Not one Kiva or Mateva remained in this whole town. Okay. This is the next area. You can see the background there. See that?
Da schossen die Igel. Meine Schwester mit dem Mann, mit Kindern, alles. Einem haben die erhoben, relativ. Alles.
I should go ahead of you and walk backwards.
And which?
Alles. Mijn
This way. Maybe you go in the front. Yeah.
Oh, das ist der Schuppe.
The Schuppe.
Der Schuppe. Wat kent je wijs naar je boven dort is der
The
Schuppe.
the Schuppe.
Ja, geht durch Marmor. Ja.
So this, in which,
What do you want to ask?
in Joren, which year was it?
Welche Jahr ist es gewesen, als eben geschossen, die Juden?
41. Jahr in dem
1941?
September, in dem 3., dem 4., nur ohne Septembermonat. Mit der allem Vermacht in Ghetto, dem 22., 23. Juni, wir sind dann rein in Liti, die Deutschen. Alle haben wir reingetrieben in Schule, wo in Kasarmes, und nach dem müssen wir umgeben zu schießen.
We'll wait for you. We'll wait for you. You go back a bit more.
It's important, I think, to mention that her sister and her entire family were killed here also.
Wait. Watch where you're going. I'll see you going wrong.
Thank you.
Was Sie uns fotografieren?
Ja.
Nur die können wir stehen.
Nein, du kannst gehen. Das ist,
Ah, they have got a memorial there.
Und dort steht da. Dort steht die Matzevi.
also da Matseva.
Ja.
Right, we'll go. Alright, Sina, maybe stop and... You can go if you want.
Da befinden wir sich auf dem Beseelen.
Now we're at the cemetery.
Deutschen und Serie 11, die Litwiner haben geschossen. 9.000 Tiden
But
geblieben.
here we find ourselves in the as she calls it, the place where the Jews were killed on the 22nd or 23rd of June in 1941.
Kenyan Mariupolniks.
Okay.
Hey, right.
Ja, das ist Serie, wo sind gewähnt von Liti. 11, die Swolotschen, die Faschisten. Also eine Litwiner, wo sie haben gedient in die deutsche Wehrmacht.
The Lithuanians who served in the
Was
German
haben
army,
geholfen die Deutschen? Was haben geholfen die Deutschen?
who helped the Germans.
Deutschen schießen Iden.
Germans shooting Jews.
So how did they go? They came...
Was ist geschehen? Sie haben gekommen da, wie haben sie gekommen da?
Wer?
Die Jüdische. Wie haben
Die haben
sie
sie getrieben. Wie sie früher gehabt in die Kasarmes. Da in die Kasarmes hat man alle Menschen gehabt, angetrieben. Jeden mit den Kindern, mit Frauen, mit älteren Menschen, mit sehr gehalten, ohne Wasser, ohne Essen.
Und sie haben gekommen zu Fuß da?
Zu Fuß. Und alle Männer haben dem gebracht zu treiben. Erst hat man Männer geschossen, nach dem Frauen mit Kindern.
They had the people in a ghetto here, just near here, where they were keeping them without food and without water, in terrible conditions. Then they marched them here by foot, and they first shot the men, and then the women and the children.
What do they do with the bodies?
Was haben sie getan mit sie reingestellt in Red?
Da gewesen ausgegrabene Gräber früher.
There was dugout graves here before.
Und alle Männer reingetrieben in die Gräber und sind gestanden und geschossen.
And
und keiner hat nicht gekannt an Kleifen. Da ist die Schuppe, die Teil. Keiner hat nicht gekannt an Kleifen. Keiner nicht an Kleifen.
Und sie haben, wer gemacht die Grube?
Männer haben getrieben von Stadt. Männer, was haben gegraben die Gräber.
Jüdische?
Nein, nicht von Jüdischen.
Litwische?
Litwiner. Die Litwiner hatten die Deutschen getrieben von Stadt. Und jene haben ausgegraben Gräber. Und nach dem hat man schon Iden gebracht zu treiben. Und alle Männer gleich reingeben die Briefe. Da ist ein Sarggräber.
Und kann ich dir fragen, deine Familie?
Meine Familie, meine Schwester da, mit Mann, mit Kindern, nach dem Bruders, wo der Bruder gewesen rausgelaufen in Litwi, in Russland, sein Freund mit Kindern und alle Jeden.
Nein.
Alle Jeden. Das ist schrecklich.
In every community, something probably similar like this happened. And that is the tragedy. That is like not exactly a living witness, but someone who was at the time not present, but he had to tell us a story and to relate to us exactly how it happened. Da ist vergessen.
Here they are forgotten. Here they is forgotten the blood of about 8,000 Jews, children, women, men, and 1,000 people
Menschen
from other
unserer
nationalities, who the Nazi murderers and their helpers. Gruesomely murdered.
They've got in Lithuania here. This looks like obviously must be this memorial. Must be put up by former Mariupol now.
Look what it says here, you've forgotten the blood of.
Forgotten the blood of them. I want to just read out now what they wrote about what happened.
Okay, go.
I'm now going to read from history was a few days before what happened and an explanation by a Lithuanian journalist what actually transpired over here. Life in Mariupol went on normally until June 11th, 1941, when the war broke out and the Mariupol-Kovno highway became impassable for Jews. Any Jew caught on the road was beaten and robbed. On June 23rd, Mariupol was occupied by the Germans. The Jews were abused, robbed and murdered. Men were forced marched to labor and their families were driven from their homes and forced into houses on Frena Street. The intelligentsia, important citizens, the rabbi of Mariupol, Rav Avram Heller, were forced into Beis HaMidrash, where they were placed under heavy Lithuanian guard. The courtyard around the Beis HaMidrash was fenced in with barbed wire, and the stronger men were brought there. Then began some of the most horrific experiments on the bodies of the men. The famous Lithuanian journalist Antonas Venclova described the annihilation of Mariupol's Jews in the Soviet-Lithuanian newspaper called Tarybo Lietuva, published in Kovno in October 1944. This happened, was published 3 years after the event, over 3 years after the event. And this is what he said. Along the banks of the Sheshupa River, which is right over here, there are 8 long pits, 3 meters wide and 70 meters long. The pits were dug by Jews, forced by Lithuanian policemen, acting under German orders. the extermination was very gruesome. The victims were forced to lie down naked in rows in the pits. Then they were shot to death with automatic weapons and were covered with a thin layer of earth. First, the men were murdered, then the women, the children, and the sick. The children's heads were bashed in the spades and rubber truncheons. There's no way to imagine the horrific suffering of the victims. Since, during the extermination days, the murderers were very, very drunk. More than a third of their victims lay in the pits, wounded or even unharmed. The murderers would stomp on their boots on their living victims and cover them with earth to bury them alive. The racket of the machine guns, the screams of the wounded and the dying, and the absolutely wild barbarity of the German and Lithuanian murderers were enough to drive insane the forced laborers who were compelled to deal with the victims. The laborer, Maximov, related, a Jewish man named Subotsky, lying with a chest wound under a thin layer of soil, pushed himself up on his hands and begged to be finished off, not to be buried alive. Finally, according to information provided by a Christian, Rav Hillel Zon Tefillin Net he found in the Beis HaMidrash that morning and preached a fiery final service to his townspeople on the subject of how to die, not to become despondent and to sanctify Hashem joyously. The rabbi marched proudly at the head of the first group of Jews to their martyrdom. In all, 8,000 Jews were annihilated in Mariupol. I'm going to say a picture here in a bit of a chorus. Shir Amanus, Mimama Kim Karati Adonai, Adonai Shema B'Koli Tiyena Oznechak Hashuvot Kol Tachunai. Im Avonot Tishmoya Adonai Miyamod. Ki Imcha Hasicha Leman Tvarei. Kivita Adonai Kivita Nafshi. V'lidva Roh Chalti. Nafshi Adonai Nishmerim Laboke, Shomerim Laboke. Yachal Yisrael El Adonai. Kim Adonai Achevte. Varbei Imo Ferut. V'hu Yifdei Yisrael Ikol Abonatal. Yizkor Elihim Yishmat Acheinu B'nai Yisrael Eretz V'chut Ba'eretz Shemutu V'shenegru V'shenishchatu V'shenisrufu V'shenitba'u V'shenechmaku Al Kiddush Hashem V'avud Shanin Udet V'kavat HaSeret V'tahem V'sachar Zeh Yena Nafshutahem Surot V'sur HaChayim In Nishmat Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka V'chel B'daya V'im Sha'ar Tzadikim V'tzadkaniyot V'gan Eden V'nomar Amen. Amalei Rachamim Shachem Ramamim Amisem Rafan Achanar Tachak Shantar Shkina Samalot Kushim Tvarim Kazar V'kem Azrim Et Nishmat Zahara Bat Chaim Yosef שהלכה לעולמה עבור שבלי נדר תיתן צדקה ועד הסרת נשמתך לכן בעל הרחמים ויסירהו בסייפה כנפה בעולמים ביצור החיים את נשמתך נהגו נפצה וגן עדן נפצה ותנוח בשלום Right next to the memorial, you can see a old, dilapidated army barracks, which is non-operational. That's on the one side. You can see the fields over here on the other, the cows in the meadow on the other, and just between here and there is the Shoshuki River. The other long pits, the remnant of grass grown over. That's what humanity continued to do.
A woman who stayed here and watched her as her husband or her sons or her shot first, and she would be shot and killed.
Yeah, by neighbours. By neighbours, huh? Yeah.
Every one of these places, Treblinka we saw it, in Ponar we saw it. It's the irony of the whole situation is that all these horrible things We're just in a situation of such peace and tranquility. Beautiful, quiet, serene places.
And all these
Ugly things were done.
Unbelievable. This is Mariupol.
Noch was du da gesehen hast, wo alle Jeden seine Backe rum. Ganz Mariupol. Und von allen Städtlach. Von allen Städtlach.
Von allen Städtlach, ja.
Warum von allen Städtlach? Von allen Dörfer, wo gelebt hat.
Malky?
I just say that in spite of the fact that you tell me I'm stupid because I can't take a picture, we love you anyway.
Thanks, sir. Here we are in Mariupol, drinking a bit of cold drink after walking to the memorial. Very schwitzy, but very much appreciated. Right.
L'chaim.
Please God, we should can't work soon. Das gedenkt ich, L'chaim, dem kommenden Jahren in Jerusalem.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Nein, das ist ihnen doch.
Du kennst lernen nicht, sir? Gläser seien gut für dir?
Ein bisschen besser wie Embryo. Geral whisky, nego beakinho whisky. Mentas.
Ja, ein bisschen Mentas, ja. Und meinen seien verweiht.
Lagbeimer. Wir fliegen gerne Lagbeimer in den Wald.
Ja.
Gedenkt man Kinder in Schule, mit der Schule fliegen wir gerne Lagbeimer in den Wald.
We used to go in, like, by Omer into the woods.
Unbelievable, eh? Remember to me, eh? Hey, incredible.
With the shul, they used to go with the shul, and like by Omer into the woods.
Das ist die Gymnasium, aber es ist keine Sache nicht geblieben. Keine Sache doch.
Gymnasium, but nothing is
But, and across the road, are there any houses there?
Und ein Gegend, ist dort ein Heiser?
Nein, ist die Barra weggestellt.
Nein, ist die
Zu verbrennt geworden, zu bombardiert.
It's bombed and destroyed. Gekommen dort, wie bist du gekommen in Russland? Was hast du gemacht vorhin zu Russland?
Dort bin ich geblieben.
Ich weiß, aber wie hast du gewissen, dass
seine geboren Bekannte mit der Maschine, Военные, wie man sagt. Nur sind geführt gereinigt in Kovny. Haben sie sich aufgestellt, Lemir, meine Schwester gewinnt, ihr Mann mit Kindern. Sagen sie, wer es will, läuft auf die Maschine mir nach runterführen. Diese Familie Bernstein, eine, und meine Chabert, die haben mir gesagt, auf die Maschine, ich gebeten, sie die Schwester meine, mit ihrem Mann soll gehen. Sagt sie, wo sie sein, auf den Oben, schon der Hunker nicht tun. Aber gebeten dem Ingel, soll sie mir geben, dem Itchen, dem älteren Ingel. Sagt sie, nein. Nun haben wir seine Wege von auf Korne, dort ist mir schön zu bombardieren, dem diesen Tilda, zu bombardieren, Tilda.
The bridge.
Und wir sind gekommen auf den Bahnstand, ist man uns gebracht, und dort sind gelegen, da waren die Waggons. Ich weiß doch nicht, wo Passagieren wird man. Und gleich angehen zu fahren, zu bombardiert uns und zu Fuß gegangen und gefahren durch Latvia. Nun, als ich gekommen, in wie viel Zeit herum in Russland. Dort die kalt gewesen, Ungar gewesen. Nicht gehabt, wo zum Leben, ob wir da wussten, was zu müssen. Nicht auch was anzutun, weil wir mal ruhig Sommer. Und nachdem habe ich dort gehört, als formiert die litwische Divisie. Nur habe ich angegeben, als Säuvlenier, schon gehen die Krankenschwester. Und gekommen in die Divisie, ich habe getracht, ich habe treffen, einen Bruder, eine Schwester, habe ich meinen Bruder getroffen. Dem, was die Banditen haben, nach dem zugegangen. Habe ich ihn getroffen. Er ist gewesen, nachdem er rausgeworfen aus dem Sand, und da ist er gewesen, ein Brigadier von den jüdischen Partisanen.
Hear that, Marco?
Let me get the whole story, yeah?
I asked her how she came to get to Russia. So she tells me that when the war was breaking out, a family here had a car. They came to ask.
Talk loud, because the music starts.
Family came to ask them. A family who had a car came to them. They took a Bernstein family. And they came to her, and she was with her sister and her brother-in-law and their children. And she said to her sister, "Come with us." And her sister says, "No, we can't come with. We can't go with you. We've got to stay here." So she said, "Give me your oldest son, Yitzchak." And so the sister wouldn't part with the child. And so she got onto this car. They left here in summer. It was hot like this, and they crossed the bridge. As they crossed the bridge, they bombed behind them. And they went through Latvia, they came to Russia, and they had no place to live, no place to stay, and she was freezing because she came out with the summer dress she was wearing. And it was summer here, and that's all that they thought. They didn't take provisions. She was starving, and she was hungry, she was tired, and she took all the... So she went to go to the Russian army because she thought that perhaps through the Russian army she might find a brother and sister. She actually did find her brother. She did find her brother, who's now the brigadier of the partisans. But he was the one that she told us that they shot on the day of the liberation when
Jo sūnus anksčiau išvažiavo. Jo. Kaip jūs rašė. Volfkė Vilenskė, o jinai buvo Sonja, kaip jūs pavardė buvo, jau aš užmiršau dabar. Kaip skleroznicė.
Ist das bekannt bei dir? Bekannt?
Ja, bekannt, oi. Sehr. 20. Jahr ist weggefahren mit dem Kibbutz. Nur bei der Rischenitza 20 Jahre gestorben. Sie ist der Einzige, wo sie geblieben ist.
Er und ihr?
Ja, und er.
Von 8 Kindern.
Und sie
haben alle umgekommen. Und du weißt nicht wo?
Nur da, im Mauer da liegen. In Meritsch, meisten in Meritsch. Meritsch. Alle da schossen.
Und sie haben alle gehabt Familien, ne?
Alle gehabt Familien.
Oh.
Ich fahr doch noch wen. Fahr ich noch auf dem Beselem, wo es liegen da Schossen in meine, alle Meritscher.
Und ist da ein Beselem dort in der
Dort nicht da, ein Beselem auf dem Berg. Und der Buch, was ich hab gegeben, hat die Berginen, wird sie einmal wegführen dort auf dem Berg am Museum. Ein Litwischer ist wegen Iden dort da ein Stück überschrieben, ist dort schon gewesen, der Buch. Einmal. Hat meine mal rausgetragen, rausgegangen wird. Dem vom Museum. Hat die Regine bei mir gebeten, ewig kennen. Hab ich angeschrieben, meiner Manager in Israel. Und hat mir zugeschickt noch ein Buch. Und einem habe ich versichert. Und das ist ein zweiter Buch.
Sie darf nicht geben, der eine was
habe ich versichert und das ist
What was it about, Bessie?
She went after the war, she went back to Meretz, where her family comes from. And she went to the street where she lived, and she found nothing. She found potatoes growing in a yard. Nothing there, nothing. There was nothing in the house. She lived in a beautiful house with trees, and there was nothing there. She couldn't recognize the place. And she pointed around here, and she said the neighbors, the people who owned these houses right here, where we're sitting here today, would come here, they wouldn't recognize their houses either.
You don't think we should do that?
But when she went to Meretz, there is the only thing that she did find was a cemetery. And that was,
at least that was preserved.
And that's still there.
As we just arrived in Trakai,
Is it a bus?
what do we see there?
That's not Chaya.
That is Chaya there, I'm telling
Wait.
you. Looks like her.
It's not Chaya. It's not even a... Oh, but wait, they didn't have that guard. Our guard went with... Is that our...
Oh, just, we're thinking alternatively some pictures of the locals. Hey?
It's not ours. Why don't you go back?
Is that ours?
No. Who is this? No. You see Chaya?
Look at the locals, selling their wares. It's a little holiday resort area. The castle in the background. Very nice, eh?
Very nice.
Very nice, really. Hey, there's someone familiar.
Point at
That
them
looks
in a
like,
different direction.
that looks like Malka, my God.
Malka who?
Malka Bendish.
Ah.
And Victor, where's Victor? There's Victor, yes. Hello, Victor. Beautiful Aserta Dibros, belonging to the only remaining standing shore in Vilnius. Beautiful, beautiful facade. Unfortunately, the group came too late for us to make Mincha Maariv, which they were already done. And I just want to read the inscription of the bus goes. Which we read during the Musaf on the Shalosh Regalim. Pointed out to me very nicely from my good friend Miss Bender. Miss Malka Bender. Do you want to go into the picture, Miss Malka? Unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah, right here.
There you go. Right outside. It's the only decent building in the whole of Vilnius that I'm proud of. The only one I can say I'm really proud to be associated with. It's just the contrast of the other beautiful buildings that are left here. The beautiful, beautiful buildings. Have a look. Make you want to puke. Now they're getting a bit angry with me. They're getting tired of me being on location.
We started crying. My mother said, "Why immediately? Don't say a word." And that's what I remember. Anyway, we arrived in Kushan, and the reason for her coming there was to persuade my grandparents to come with her to Israel. Money was no object, and she had a plan to buy them a house in Ramat Gan, which at that time was a little village, and they live happily after. But they said no, they lived in Lita all their lives, and they have good neighbors, and they weren't ready. For 4 months we stayed there. The summer holidays until after Yom Tov, after Simchat Torah, but we couldn't persuade her. That was in 37. Of course, I don't know if it's in 39 or 50 or 40. The Lithuanians collected all the Jews gathered all the Jews in the shul. Among them, my grandmother and uncle and his family. 2 daughters escaped. That's how we know, and they burned them there. My grandfather, they dragged to town behind a horse, and he died while he was dragged by a horse. Anyway, I always imagined that I remember the town, but it was not natural. I was 11. I was only 4 months there. But I told Anat, I will draw a map of the town and you go by yourself. She said, no, you'll come with me. Anyway, when we arrived now, I said to the driver, drive slowly. And as we pass, I cried, here is the house. And here we sat on a bench with my grandfather. It was the first house in the shtetl. Now there are other houses there, but it was on a corner. The house is there, painted green with red shutters, but the house stands there. Where the gate was, they had a huge garden of fruit trees. The garden is not anymore, it's all wild, but the place is there. And even the signs of the wall around it. The gate where my grandfather had a horse and a buggy and all the rain coming in and all the storms are still there, but they put bricks on it, but you can see it. And I mean, we looked in the window at the back, here was the kitchen. And I remember sitting with my grandfather on a market day, on a bench, and all the farmers coming in. Everybody knew my grandfather. And my grandfather used to talk to everyone and try his goods. They used to go to the marketplace. And I was sitting there with him. Anyway, the house is there, and we met neighbors, a man that said that house really belonged to Jewish people, obviously, and the father, it belongs to his father now, and his father gave it to one of his brothers. So that was really a sign that this is the house. I mean, I made no mistake because I started shouting, this is it, this is it.
No, David spoke to the Lithuanian.
Yes, David spoke to the Lithuanian, and he said that this was a Jewish home, and his father lived there. Anyway, we continued along this main road, and I described what we are going to see, and exactly that, although it's changed, buildings and so on, but exactly like that. I said, we'll come to a T-junction, on the right will be the police station, on the right will be a little hotel, which was called the guest house. I had my 11th birthday there, so my grandmother collected all the Jewish girls and made a party for me. So one of them was the owner of the hotel. The police station is no more there. There is another official building. The hotel is not there, but there's a different building there. And on the other side was the avenue where they went spaziering on Saturday. It's still there. Really, I remember, it was amazing. I said, that must be the Gaon, because otherwise how can I remember? Anyway, I had another grandfather there, but they came to Israel before. And his brother remained as the manager of a bank, a Jewish bank in Koshan. And I went and I said, here was my other grandfather's house, but it wasn't anymore there. But the bank was there, but not the same bank. And there was a bank in that building there. But then I started looking for the marketplace. And it was a huge place where all the carts and the horses came on the market day. Couldn't find them. So Boris said, you know, it is the park. They made a park out of it. And he said the shul was on the right-hand side. I looked at the place and I said, you know, this is the marketplace because those buildings I remember. But the shul was on the left-hand side. And we went there, and that is where the shul burned down with all the Jews in it. The school is still there standing. And what did they build in the place of the shul? A fire station. That is very appropriate, a fire station. And of course when we came, all the firemen came out to look at us. But they were young and they didn't remember anything. Maybe they knew, but they didn't remember. And one of them said, there is an old woman upstairs, it will take her time to get down because with a stick, and she'll remember. She walked down, and she showed us where the mikveh was, and she showed us which I didn't know, she showed us where they made the cheese. There was a famous cheese that Jews in Koshan made. I remember the cheese, but I didn't know where they made it. And she knew my grandfather. Boris talked to her, and she said, yes, Kaganas that lived at the end of the town. That is the house I found. But then we said to her, I mean, not me.
I was interested you contact the site.
So let me tell you about the ghetto, because it's fresh today.
Okay.
So all
today's ghetto, the Vilna ghetto.
Vilna ghetto, it was the large ghetto. So first of all, I'll tell you what she showed us, and then I'll tell you some stories. She first of all took us to two buildings. Is she running? Two buildings, the original building, still, that housed a small labor camp of mechanics that repaired German army vehicles and tanks and things like that. It's two big buildings, as they were, and there were up to 1,000 workers plus their families there. And until March 1944. There was no ghetto anymore. They were still there because the Germans needed them to repair their cars. And in March 1944, they collected the children and they killed them. And then they liquidated later, a little bit later, I think it was in June 44, all the others. And in July 44, the Russians came in. Just before the Russians came in, they mass killed them in the yard. And in the yard
The Hennessy
now,
itself or Germans?
Yeah, the Germans. We stood there in the yard. Israel, Medinet Israel, put a plaque there on the wall of one of the buildings. And also like a tomb, some sort of a tomb, because we actually don't know where the mass grave site is. Somewhere there in Erie, because it's like in between buildings and
Right.
it was very, really very upsetting. And they killed probably about 400. So I think they killed the kids and then they killed others, and the final liquidation was at 400. The plaque said 400 men and women that were killed in that location. And the other story that is quite interesting about that place is that there were some children and some adults that tried to hide in false walls, cupboards, you know, whatever. And when they finished the killings and retreated from there, some of the kids came out and survived. So there were few survivors. And then Henya told a story, amazing story, that she had a friend that worked there, a guy. His name was Henrik or something like that. And he was one of those that was in hiding in those buildings. And after the Germans left, he got out. And she met him in Munich after liberation. And they became like very good friends. And he went to Palestine and she went to South Africa. And he wrote a few letters. It was like in 1947. He wrote a few letters. Suddenly she didn't hear from him anymore. And then she found out that he fell in the War of Independence in Israel. So after hiding and surviving these buildings,
It's sad, right?
it was very sad. You know, she was telling us, really sad. And then Misha. All right, let me tell you about Misha. Okay, sorry. So that was
Now that I put you privately up to the students, you can pause them.
yeah, you pause whenever. You can edit it. Tell you about the other story was that in the morning, Henya said, you already left for Mariupol. We were eating breakfast quite late, and Henya was very agitated and excited. And she said, you know, through Boris, his mother, we found out that a friend of my sister, a very good friend of my sister, lives here in Vilna, and he heard that I'm coming, and he wanted to see me. So his name was Misha Sobo, and he didn't see Henya since 1941. So that is 58 years.
Good for it.
He came, she remembered him as a young man, you know, a young boy with black hair. He came an old man with white hair.
He's here.
And he came in and he saw her and they hugged each other and cried. He cried bitterly, he really cried. And he then asked to come with us to the ghetto. When we were in those buildings, in this little labor camp, he started again to cry and he said, you know, I escaped with my family when the Russians were retreating, when the Russian army was retreating, as the Germans came in, me and my family escaped with them. So we were not in the Holocaust, we were saved. So immediately he volunteered to the Red Army to fight against the Nazis. And in 1944, he was in a unit that was somewhere else in another front, Russia. But he heard from someone from those that escaped from those buildings that there are still, in 1944, Jews in Vilna. And he tried to convince the commander, please, can't we just take a few soldiers? Or the commander is going to try to save them. And no one would listen to him. And he knew that he cannot go alone. And he really cried. It was so touching. He said, I feel so guilty. I should have maybe gone alone. But from what would it help? And I didn't have influence. I tried. I left my unit and I tried to go to other units to try to convince them to go to Vilna and save the Jews. And of course no one did anything. So when he arrived in Vilna in July 44, there were no more Jews anymore because they killed him. And he, until today, feels very guilty about that. That was the story about the two the two buildings, the little labor camp. Then we continued,
עשיתי גם constant transform, you see trees and it's beautiful, it's lovely. Then now trees have got a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. Well, the trees so, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good too, right? Okay.
Yeah, anything there?
Right, you ready, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I just have to turn over another.
Then we drove on and we were driving like on top of the hill. And she said to us that this was the place where the final liquidation of the ghetto was. And what actually happened was that they took the people from the ghetto in 1943. And in September 1943, took all of them to a building. It was then and it's still today a monastery, very near to a cemetery. And they marched them all to that huge monastery ground. And there in the small gate, there's like an east gate, they all passed, and when they got out of the gate, okay, so they were inside in the grass area and got out of this little gate, and in that gate they did a selection. Who's to work, who will go to Estonia to the work camps, labor camps, and who is going to the left to die in Ponar. So it was right to work, left to Ponar. And basically what happened, you can actually see it in the street, that the right was towards the train station that took them to the labor camps, and left was towards the place where they marched them down to Punar. And Henya remembered walking to that monastery, and they were forced to lie on the grass, face down. She was very, very scared. She was extremely scared, did not know what was happening. She was alone because at that stage already she didn't have her mother or her sisters with her. And the only one that she had some sort of a relative was an old great aunt of her mother and her husband, older people. And when the selection came, they told them to go to the left, her to go to the right. She panicked, she was very scared, because you must understand that we today are very clever. We know what is selection, what is right, left. Yes, we have title, selection. They didn't know. They were taken to this, taken to that. They were said, go here, go there. They didn't know what is a good side, bad side, where they're going, you know. It was only fear. So she tried to grab them, you know, to go with them or something. And the little Indian with a gun bat, like, pushed her. And she went to the right, and she of course didn't see them again. They went to Punar and died. And she went from there to the trains that took her to Kaiserwald. And what everyone is remembering, and she said that many times, that they took them to that ground, but they left them there for the whole night. And in that particular night, it did not stop raining. It just rained and rained and rained. They were drenched, and then they did that selection. So it stayed with her as a very frightening event. and really traumatic, you know, on many accounts. So we went there, and from there we actually went to the ghetto. And okay, basically, I'll recap because she was a bit confusing, but I'll recap and I'll state the whole thing, how the ghetto came to being, you know, and so on. But yesterday we saw the small ghetto and today it's the big ghetto. Basically, the Nazis arrived to Vilna on the 26th of June 1941. They then, with the help of the Lithuanians, and mostly Lithuanians actually did their job, not Germans, started to kidnap people in the streets, arrest, you know, like Henya's father, Itula already, who was kidnapped. And those people were called snatchers, and they would take many Jews, mainly men at that stage, and mainly from the intelligentsia, meaning many of the intelligent people, more educated, those that maybe couldn't, who the Nazis and Lithuanians thought could organize some sort of a resistance. So they, of course, not knowing where they're going, marched to Puna and were shot there in the beginning. Then on the 6th of September, the ghettos were established, both at the same time. In the small ghetto, you had 11,000 people that were those that would not be able to work, unproductive or unproductive people. And they were liquidated, they were sent to Puna within a month and a half. All 11,000 fled. In the big ghetto, at the same time, on the 6th of September, about 29,000 were pushed in. It's all the rest of the people. So it's 29 plus 11, about 40. And of course about 20,000 were killed by the Lithuanians from June, 26th of June to 6th of September. So you see the numbers, how it's going. Henya then told us how they were given only one day to go into the ghetto. It's not like Warsaw in other places where they had a bit of time. Even in Kovna they had 3 weeks. In Vilna they had 1 day. And whoever will be found outside the ghetto would be shot on the spot. So they had 1 day. And Lena spoke to us and she sounded like the little girl when she was there. She said, I remember we didn't know what to do. And my mother said, okay, what should we take? Let's take a little bit of clothes. Let's take linen, because they were not allowed to take even a wheelbarrow to push. They were only what they were allowed, what they were able to carry. So they put it all in bundles, like a little bit of bedding, pillows, beddings and whatever. It was a very hot day, and they wore many layers of clothes because they couldn't carry everything. So like a winter coat, and it was hot, and they were sweating, and they were walking because they were not allowed to take any kind of transportation to the ghetto. And you remember where she lived, it was in the other side of the river, and the ghetto is not far from the small ghetto, so it's quite a huge distance. And there were kids, 3 kids and a mother. And then you said that like in the midway they said, oh, we can't walk anymore and whatever. And the mother said, just now we are arriving, just carry on and whatever. And they actually left some of the parcels en route because they just couldn't carry it. And then they arrived to the ghetto, and in a place that was supposed to fit 5,000 people, 29,000 people were supposed to find accommodation. And the Judenrat, the Jewish Council, had to, of course, try and find places. There were about 8 to 10 people in each room, and there were not even beds. You know, you slept wherever you could, on the floor, under the table, over the table, whatever. And she said that also the people from the houses, from those 5,000 houses, were also kicked out within a day. And when they walked into rooms, there were like beds undone, you know, dishes on the table with food. You know, people were just taken out without anything. Mostly Jews, but not only Jews, even Lithuanians. Okay, so in the big ghetto, there were 29,000 to start with. But very quickly, they were started to give certificates for workers. They call those certificates chains. There were yellow chains for some workers. There were blue chains to their families and so on. And very quickly, already in October, there was an action, an action, where they did a selection, and only the people with the yellow chain, it was called the yellow chain action, were allowed to stay alive. All the others were taken to Puna. And a month later, again they did a yellow chain action, because a lot of people were hiding. So they would look for the people that were in hiding, and that reduced the ghetto to, first of all, to 20,000, so from 29,000 to 20,000, and then down to about 12,000. So you can, or 15,000, sorry. So, you know, it's like, people really died very, very rapidly there. Within 4 months, most of the Vilna Jews were there. Only those that could work, and only people with 2 children could stay. So in other words, Michael, if you have more children, you had to choose. You had to do selection, which 2 children you leave, and the others you'll have to actually give up. Can you imagine something like that? I cannot. But she was telling us that about the.
Let's say that again.
Okay. There was a law. Within 4 months, the ghetto was reduced to 15,000. The Jewish community of Vilna was reduced from about 60,000 to 15,000. Very rapid, and only shooting, no gassing, nothing, just shooting. And then, as I said, you know, every family was allowed father, mother, and 2 children. So if you have 5 children, you have to choose. Now, what they used to do is many of the kids would hide. The other kids would be in hiding. So in the sewers, in double cupboards, in the attic, in the bunker, you know, in toilets, you know, all sorts of terrible things, because you couldn't choose, you know, you wanted to protect all your children, of course. The ghetto was small, it was very small, and it was sometimes even getting smaller as, you know, the population was reduced. We also talked about the Jewish Council, the Judenrat, that basically collaborated or cooperated at least with the Nazis. And I was telling them about it a bit because the head of the Judenrat was a man by the name of Yaakov or Jacob Getz. That is a very controversial figure till today. It's very difficult to judge, and I don't think that anyone has the right to judge any one of them, because Chas v'Chalila, I would never have wanted to be in their place, given that task to stand in the head of the community and then getting all those orders from the Nazis. But yet, there were some Judenrats, and we'll see a very good example tomorrow in Kota, of a Judenrat that was helping the Jews, that was helping the underground, that was not compromising, that asked rabbis for advice, that did it from the heart. Yet there were other Judenrats, and sadly most Judenrats were I can't even say collaborating. I wanted to say cooperating, but I think even collaborating with